Hello, my learned friends. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we found out that my best friend is not actually dead. But you know what? I'm still sad. And we're going to be doing the final trial of the Great Departed Soul. Potentially parts 3 and 4. I'm feeling a little brave. We'll see how long this ends up being. We might have to split it. I'd like to get them both done right now. Because I want to know what's up. Also, my dead friend, who apparently has amnesia, is going to be at the trial today. So let's do it. I'm ready for his memories to come back. Good morning to you, Mr. Nanowrimo. Ah, good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings? I hope so. It should be. Good morning, my dear fellows. Also, we're mad at him because he lied about my best friend being dead. He's a liar. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here. Why, naturally. A true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I'll see you later, then. Now, Professor, we really need you to remain calm in the courtroom today. Oh, I froze. It froze. One sec. There you go, fixed it. Okay. Yes, do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited again. Yes, I will! I realized it was a mistake. My dear fellows, I must interject. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter? Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? To be cast in my direction, Sorry, I don't follow. Must I spell it out? I, the great Herlock Sholmes, the greatest detective of worldwide acclamation, arose at some ungodly hour to be here now. First thing in the morning. A miracle, you must agree. Well, if I must agree, then... As you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. Iris had to employ her full gamut of tactics. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both cheeks, punched me, and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured a boiling cup of her latest experimental blend on my face as I was bestirred. Oh my, Iris has been busy. Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. She's too nice. Ah, I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist who would relish in the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I'm the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory. Sorry to cut in. Sorry to cut in. Sorry, I never know who's talking. Oh, Inspector Gregson, good morning. Gregson, my dear fellow. Why the grim expression at this delightfully early hour? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grim expression, eh? Dear me, are you going to take that insult lying down, Professor? What? I don't know. Poor Professor. Anyway, here's the paperwork you asked for. What paperwork? I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I have a feeling that it may prove useful. You won't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out of the archives. It's the professor's autopsy report. That mass murderers? Who killed 5 members of the aristocracy? He was found guilty in closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he was quickly executed soon after the trial. It's all in here. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector. Well, that reveals... No. Ooh, Courtney Stevens. That name might be important. Yes! Much obliged, Gregson. Much obliged. Us lowly lot of the art are just doing what we can. In the shadow of the great Detective Sholmes, of course. Come into the courtroom! It's time to go! Not yet. Well then, Professor Harebrained, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to the rest at last. I wish you the best of luck, Professor. I suppose he'll be in here today, will he? Trevor. Yes. Whoa. Bye, Undertale. Yes, we expect the prosecution to summon him as a witness. I'm still amazed that you managed to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much. Counsel and the defendant! The trial is about to resume. Kindly make your way to the courtroom at once. Every time, man. This is it then, the final chapter. Funny, my heart's racing a little. I've not felt this before, actually. This strange foreboding. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. Your dead best friend is teaming up with the prosecutor. Yeah, you're not going to be ready for that. But I can't let this distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth. Did we forget about the dead best friend? That he's just like, you know, alive. I'm so mad. And apparently has amnesia, which makes me very mad. Messing with me, man. What's news, man? What news? He's gonna be right here. There he is. I think the only reason they have him in his mask is because Van Zieks would not have helped him if he knew he was Japanese, which is so bad. In the name of the Majesty of the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session again. We resume the public hearing of Albert Harebrain. Here present who stand accused of murder. Are the counsels for the direction and defense ready to proceed? The prosecution is ready, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. As promised, Lord Van Zieks has his apprentice with him. His apprentice with memory loss. I'm gonna cry. I'm so sad. What is he? If I may, Lord Van Zieks. Yes, my lord. There appears to be someone standing at your side. Ah, yes, my apprentice and assistant. The prosecution believes today's proceedings will see the complexity of this case rise considerably. I therefore instructed my assistant to attend to ensure the smooth running of the trial. If there was any doubt, now he has a katana. Like, and the smooth running of liquid refreshments by the looks of it. I got you, man. The way he holds himself, the way he moves, it could be anyone else. But he's still suffering from amnesia, so there's really nothing we can do at the moment. I know, but oh, this is very hard. No, tell me about it. Is he like faking his amnesia? That I'd be more okay with him faking his amnesia. It would appear the prosecution has done a fine job in responding to the demands the court made yesterday. I understand you've successfully secured the engineer who disappeared from the scene on the day in question. Yes, my lord. I intend to call him as a witness shortly. Very good, very good. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in the courtroom today, are you ready? La la la, of course they're ready, of course, they're ready, they're ready, they're ready. I don't care. You're ready, you're ready. These are the cast of characters. They're saying the same thing they did last time, and I'm on a tight schedule. So, Lord Van Zieks. Before I do, my lord, there is a report I must read to the court. I'm sorry. This is hurting me so bad. Yesterday, at the Great Exhibition Grounds, the evidence of primary importance in this case, the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine, which was installed in the experimentation stage, was deliberately destroyed in an explosion effected by an unknown person or persons. It was what? Explosion! This is an outrage! Yes, I heard this grave news yesterday. Scotland Yard submitted a report to my office this evening. I read that the machine was blasted to smithers and the wreckage reduced to ashes in the flames. I have here a photographic print of the scene taken in the wake of the explosion. It shows what little remains of the machine. Yes, a terrible business. He did it to destroy the evidence, did he? That Enoch Trevor. The court will take this print as evidence, counsel. I'm getting a lot of evidence here. Late yesterday afternoon, the prosecution afforded the machine by the special dispensation for scientific equipment. However, before a thorough investigation could begin, the invention was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. Well, duh. Bro, he looks like As it stands now, with no evidence on which to draw meaningful conclusions. He's a Jedi Master, guys. The authenticity of the kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity. Indeed. A most unfortunate state of affairs. However, one thing remains clear. The victim's death was the result of the actions of the accused. Of that we can be certain. For it was the accused himself who was operating the machine, who ultimately caused its loss of control. Objection! As Lord Van Zieks rightly says, this is a very different trial now. The accused accepts responsibility for his part in the events that transpired. He acknowledges that Mr. Osmond died as a result of the accident caused by his machine's malfunction. However, unbeknownst to the professor, he was being deliberately deceived by a pair of very clever fraudsters. Names, counsel, if you please. The engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, and the victim himself, Mr. Odie Osmond. So what exactly were these two men up to behind the defendant's back? The defense intends to expose that information, thus establishing the unequivocal innocence of the defendant. We're definitely going to have a couple of summation examinations, because we didn't have one the first time around. Thank you, counsels. The positions of the prosecution and defense have been clearly stated. Lord Van Zieks, summon your first witness, please. At once, my lord. The prosecution calls the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, to the stand. State your name and occupation for the court. Name, Enoch Drebber. Occupation. Hard to pin down, I would say. I don't know what to do with his voice. Yeah, we know we've seen him too. Why is there a child in the stand? Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? Most extraordinary coincidence. But that has no bearing on this trial, I assure you. Cleave it from your mind. He needed the body to do as a double. Like, duh. You're familiar with the public experiment carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago. The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Yes, you could say that. I'm aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there? It was you, Mr. Drebber, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. So our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement? Yes, I constructed it, in precise accordance with the blueprints, but that's all. Then the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure. An amazing device, if you ask me. The pinnacle of modern science, making instantaneous kinesis a reality at last. What? Good gracious. Do you mean to say that the experiment was bona fide? Is that your belief, sir? Oh, you! Yes, that is very much my belief. Such a waste that it blew up. Objection! But we've already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate conjuring trick. Objection! Don't you objection me. Wait, where'd your assistant go? Oh, he's right there. You've established nothing of the sort. What's all shown during yesterday's trial is that the same outcome could have been produced by the means of staged trickery. The defense merely proposed a method and demonstrated its feasibility, nothing more. But... We've procrastinated long enough, I feel. Witness, you may now give your formal testimony about the machine that you constructed for the purpose of the demonstration at the Great Exhibition. Understood. I don't know how to voice you. You look like a robot. Man, I don't know if I can get both parts done, bro. I feel like this is going to take forever. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Osmond's introduction. He provided me with the blueprints and I constructed the machine to its precise specifications. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double to tell me, did the victim have a twin? All the spectators saw the birdcage appear above their heads and then crash headfirst into the crystal tower. A A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on which the machine was built was flawed somehow. Body double. You know. A body double? That goes without saying, surely. To give the impression that someone has moved, in reality it hasn't. It's basic conjuring principle. He took... Oh, the guy that got killed, his identity was the original mass serial killer? That's my guess. The deception cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point in the performance. But would I be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along these lines? Ugh. Incidentally, the prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Osmond has no twin siblings. It's my understanding this witness is well versed in conjuring artfulness. But such talents do not indicate that he was actually able to accomplish what he claims. Namely, the construction of what, by all accounts, must have been an extremely complex scientific machine. Whatever do you mean? Yesterday's proceedings brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Drebber. Indeed it did, my lord. As a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elicit government grant money through conjuring know-how. Yes, it's true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic in the field. Investigation of the witness's workshop attests that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found this Royal Science Society trophy for young talent in science there. Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves. If a hypothesis is sound, it can always be forged into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Though I may have sold the secrets of some deceptive wiles to the Sniveling's talentless scientists in the past.
Would you therefore assert that the explosion of the machine was
an unfortunate accident, of course. The deliberate act of murder carried out by the misuse of science. Can I present the body clone now?
Counts for the defense, your cross-examination.
I feel like no matter what I do, though, there's going to be a summation examination next. I'm going to save... Okay, it's going to be the third point. 1, 2, 3. We're going to save here just in case, because they might be making me press first because they're picky like that. But I want to see if I can just present that body clone right away. Where's the head? Oh, here it is.
Objection!
Ah, come on! Really? I was really hoping. Okay, fine. They're gonna make me... That's definitely the identity of the businessman, though. He was the original murderer. That's... I don't know how old he was. But yeah, the victim in this case was probably the original murderer. Why would he want him dead, though? Alright.
Hold it!
Of course, that's it! Oh, okay.
Objection.
I'm gonna skip that. We know that's not true. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just skipping ahead because the figure's policy attests to the fact. So it can't have been orchestrated by using someone who looks identical. It was through... What are you thinking, Mr. Murado? Oh, no, nothing. Just that the idea of someone who looks identical to the victim is playing on my mind. Yeah, oh, this is annoying. I don't know how to... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. How do I prove it? Uh-huh. They took advantage of 80. Okay. What on earth must you be feeling towards Trevor? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Do I not? Hold on. Let me just see something. Can I take the helmet off of this thing? I always like miss stuff like that. Oh, there it is. This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself if it was put on you. What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal. I know. It's starting to make me livid, actually. Mr. Naruto, please. I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an itch in your cheek and all of a sudden it'd be utterly hopeless. Well, yes, that's true. But I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. Thought maybe we could take it off. This is gonna drive me nuts. I don't know how to prove it. And there's clearly proof. I have the proof. But I don't know what they want me to do. Okay, I'm just gonna... I know this is gonna annoy you, but we're skipping ahead. Blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah. As expected, it was all useless information. There's no trick. It's clear you both have scientific knowledge. However, the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes along. But your implication is that I've furnished the machine with some trickery, I think. It's a possibility that we have to explore. Unfortunately, though, the machine has been blown to the kingdom come. So there's really nothing left to explore, is there? It appears to be that the Kinesis machine was fitted with a time explosive device of some kind. And there's nothing left of that device either. Not a single shred of evidence remaining, I hear. He must have planned all this from the outset. But in any case, it's abundantly clear that the experiment couldn't have been a trick. Do I seriously not have any evidence? Like, relating to the thing missing or something? This is driving me nuts. I know what he did. Okay. Whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna press all the statements. Maybe I'm supposed to prove it in the summation examination. It crashed head first, you say? According to the many witness reports from the time, yes. Were you not there at the exhibition grounds on the day? Unlikely. I rarely leave my workshop. Yet another of your unique inventions was found at the scene. Well, it was the unveiling of a machine I'd labored over for many months. I saw it clearly with my own eyes, the birdcage plummeting headfirst into the tower. What a surprise. I believe the victim's neck was broken from the headlong fall, wasn't it? How would you have come by that information? Even an infernal recluse like me reads the newspapers, you know. According to the reports, 2 injuries were apparent on the victim's body. Yes, he'd been stabbed in the chest by a screwdriver believed to belong to the defendant, and he had broken vertebrae as a result of the fall from a considerable height. Correct. My learned friend has been doing his research, it seems. Do we know which injury was the fatal one? Sadly not. Forensic science is not yet at a level where such things can be determined. What we do know is that the victim died having sustained both injuries at some point during the experiment. And since he was found in the birdcage with his neck broken, it's obvious that he fell from a considerable height. I suppose it's hard to deny. Okay, last one, the press, because...
Hold it!
So you understood the science, did you? Not in the slightest. Sorry, I just voiced him like the other dude. Oh, right. As I've said a number of times, I'm an engineer. My job is to manufacture according to the blueprints I'm given. I'd be inviting manifold problems if I foolishly allowed my brain to digest the ideas behind them. I could be accused of stealing those ideas, for example. But how is it possible to construct a machine without really understanding the principles it relies on? Well, you're practicing law without really understanding the principles it relies on, aren't you? You know what? Unnecessary. A very good point. Stand up for yourself, Mr. Naruto. point is, the experiment resulted in instantaneous kinesis taking place. As such, the science must be sound. Yes, and really, experimental results are all that matters when it comes to proving a hypothesis. Shoot! So there is something I could... There's something I could prove there, but what is it? Oh, this is annoying. I thought I had to press all the statements or something. Okay. Okay. I'm stuck on the first one because I don't know how they want me to prove what I already know. That's annoying. So I'd be a very bad lawyer. Okay, present. Did he have a twin? Okay. Camera, glass, this, workhead, killer, auto. How about this?
Objection!
Nope. But that's who he was! Okay, guys. I'm already stuck on the first one because I don't know what they want from me. Okay, I had to look things up. I wasn't even close. I wasn't even close.
Objection!
I wouldn't have figured that out. I'm too stuck on the fact that I think I already know how this ends, and now I have to pay attention to details that I don't care about. Okay, I'm locking in. Here we go. We've examined the birdcage that crashed into the crystal tower ourselves. As you can see, the cage, which is a wooden construction, has sustained damage in one particular spot. Following the explosion, it fell some 30 feet into the glass of the crystal tower. That level of damage is to be expected, surely. I agree. The damage itself is entirely understandable. What doesn't make sense is the location of that damage. All the breakages in the wood are at the base of the birdcage, not the top. What are you saying?
That's the opposite of where they should be.
That's right, my lord. The birdcage that was at the scene is damaged at its base. So we have reports of the birdcage falling headlong into the crystal tower, yet the damage is at the bottom? The only way to reconcile these two facts is to accept that there were two birdcages in play that day, which were at some point switched. Switched during what wasn't a scientific experiment at all, but an elaborate piece of stage trickery. Yeah, I didn't figure that one out. I'm so stuck on the fact that he keeps saying there was no body double, but he stole an art body, whatever it's called, from the place. So clearly that the identity of this dude was the original killer. Got a bing, bada boom, but done. Okay. Good gracious, explain yourself, witness. Well, if we examine the facts, there's only one logical conclusion we can draw. The damage on the base of the birdcage clearly indicates that it crashed tail first into the tower.
Objection!
But multiple witnesses claim it fell head first. The birdcage materialized in the sky next to a balloon flying over the stage following a spontaneous explosion at an altitude of some 60 feet above ground level, which is approximately 18 meters. Thank you, Susana-san. Then it proceeded to fall some 30 feet into the crystal tower at the ensuing deflagration, whatever they said. Witness reports amid such chaos are notoriously unreliable.
Objection!
But the victim's neck was broken.
Objection!
He plummeted 30 feet inside a heavy wooden cage. However he fell, it would be unsurprising to find one or two of his vertebrae crushed. A riveting scientific analysis of events from the prosecution there. Though, to be even more rigorous, you would have to say it was only one vertebrae, actually. He was quiet for so long. I find it hard to see what's motivating Lord Van Zieks. This witness is clearly a swindler, and one who deceived a personal friend of his. If you're going to establish this deception, do it right. Sorry? Or, I said that. I feel like that's the undertone here. Ah, yes, there's one more point. The defense, it obviously wasn't a trick, as a certain truth very plainly demonstrates. What?
Seems to me the cross-examination had better continue until we resolve this matter. Mr. Drebber, will you amend your testimony with details of this truth? Of course. We must treat the matter scientifically, after all. Ugh, I nearly had him there. The kinesis clearly took place because there's nowhere else 30 feet high for the birdcage to have fallen from. Okay, I think I have,
Go on, 1 second, guys. There's no, what do you mean there's nowhere else? 30 feet high for the breakage, okay. Present evidence. What evidence do I have? I don't know for sure, but I know I have evidence somewhere.
Objection.
Nope, okay, not that one. I was thinking the ground. Okay, fine. It is at odds with the evidence, but that's not what they want. They're being very picky right now, and I don't appreciate it. There's literally so many places, it's not even funny. But the ground of the... wait. Am I supposed to present the... I don't remember all the evidence that I have in here. Oh, here it is.
Objection.
No, not that part either. Okay. Y'all, this is killing me. I know what happened, but I don't know what the game wants from me. This happened to me, I think it was like game 2. One of the cases, I knew what happened. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know what the game wants. Okay, I don't know. Other place they could have fallen. What photographs do I have? Not that. Maybe an experiment sketch?
Objection.
Hey! I feel like they all point to the same thing. This is a diagram of the experimentation stage and its surroundings. We know that somehow the birdcage appeared in midair before falling down into the crystal tower. A fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters. However, if you examine the diagram carefully, you'll see that there is one other possible location from which the birdcage could have fallen. The same distance of 30 feet. No. There's so many other places it could have fallen. Okay, whatever.
Well, it appears that's a possible explanation to put forward. Go ahead, counsel.
Alright, I'm gonna say yes, my lord. Of course.
You will indicate the place to which you're referring in the same diagram.
It could have fallen here to the ground. 1 second. Let me just save. I don't trust myself. I would have lost like 10 times over already because I'm too impulsive right now. And I know exactly what this killer did. And I can't prove it. Okay. Right here.
Take that!
The place I'm referring to is here.
But that's where the birdcage was to begin with.
Which is exactly the point, my lord. Yes, the birdcage was in the middle of the machine on the stage. But what we must consider is the height of the stage itself.
Go on, counsel.
It turns out that the experimentation stage was built at a considerable height above ground level. If you look at the diagram, in fact, you'll see it's about the same height above the ground as the balloon was above the crash site. See, again, I knew this. I just didn't know how to prove it. Okay. When the experiment got underway, the machine and the birdcage were engulfed in steam. At that moment, the floor of the stage gave way, and if we assume there would to be a void underneath, this birdcage and the one seen by the audience would have fallen almost at exactly the same distance. Once again, my lord, this all points to the fact that there was not one birdcage, but 2.
Objection.
My My learned friend has no evidence that the stage had such contrivance in its design. Yes, I do. Someone is responsible for the criminal destruction of the kinesis machine itself, it's true. However, the stage still stands. And take a moment to look at the photographic print of the scene following yesterday's explosion.
The metal grill that formed the floor of the machine is undone.
Yes, most likely blown up by the force of the explosion that destroyed the rest of the machine. The defense calls for the space below the stage to be investigated immediately. Mr. Drebber. It was you who built the kinesis machine, which means that it was you who built the 2 bird cages that were used to carry out this deception. Whether Professor Harebrain's hypothesis is sound or not makes no difference, because it's the construction of this machine that matters, a machine designed to take Mr. Osmond's life. And I lay the blame firmly at the professor's door. Something that could only have been carried out by you, Mr. Enoch Drebber. Wah!
Objection!
Shut up! I can't, If my learned friend has reached the end of his wild assertions, the prosecution would like to crush the defense's argument slowly, but surely. What? Your argument fails to hold water on 2 counts. 2? Firstly, before and after the experiment, this witness went nowhere near the kinesis machine. Every relevant member of staff from the exhibition has attested to that.
And I believe members of Scotland Yard have also been on watch duty in every public experiment.
In other words, Mr. Drebber had no opportunity to switch the alleged pair of bird cages. But I've already explained why he wouldn't have needed to. The nonsense with the crossbow, that doesn't bolster your case at all. The man who disappeared from the stage and the man who crashed into the tower are one and the same. The forensic investigation team's report is unequivocal on that point. And the second flaw in your assertion is a distinct lack of motive. Why would this man have wanted to take the victim's life? He had no reason to do so. A motive? Do I have to think of everything myself? I have here a contract provided by the witness.
What contract is this, Lord Van Zieks?
The contract into which Mr. Drebber entered with the victim, Mr. Osmond. It reads, Mr. Drebber is to receive 30% of all remunerations from government grants or other income.
30%. Certainly a favorable contractual conditions.
But there was one very important provision bolted onto that clause. What provision? Mr. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive.
In other words, if either of us were to die, the contract would be made null and void. So you see, I had nothing to gain from Mr. Osmond's death. The diametric opposite, in fact. Ugh.
Need I say more? The witness had neither an opportunity nor a reason to commit the alleged crime. In short, the possibility of Mr. Drebber having done as you suggest is nil. Okay, is this when the jury turns against me? Summation examination! Yeah. They're not gonna let me do anything else because they're mean.
It seems the defense assertion was somewhat wide of the mark. Lord Van Zieks, you will submit the contract as evidence, please.
It's true. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the birdcage under the stage with the one in the Crystal Tower, he couldn't have done it, and in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been. There's one aspect of your argument that still holds true, however. There were 2 bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that. So I'm sure you're in the right line, Mr. Naruhodo. And I've no doubt that there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths, too.
Well, it would seem But the defense has no rejoinder to offer. Well, I must say I'm a little surprised. I came here to testify about the machine I built, and instead my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight, I think. It's impossible that I'm the culprit.
Objection!
At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only one birdcage. Yet now we know there must have been two. In other words, there was more to the demonstration than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Trevor. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the events that transpired. So, if circumstances mean it's impossible that you could have carried out the crime yourself, it points to the fact that someone else was involved.
Someone else? Counsel, are you suggesting?
Yes, my lord. Mr. Trevor had an accomplice.
Objection!
An accomplice now. Well then, I presume you're prepared for what's to come? Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander.
Well, counsel? Do you intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of involvement in this matter?
What do I do here? At the moment, this is little more than a hunch on my part. I don't know for sure if Trevor had an accomplice or if he really is the culprit. One way or another, though, I have to make my position clear as a lawyer. So what's my stance going to be? Did Trevor have an accomplice or not? Let me save. I'm going to say he had one. Well, wasn't his accomplice the guy he killed? Alright. The defense is ready to name Mr. Trevor's accomplice. Somehow the two bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue.
Counsel.
My lord?
You have received a stark warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, then I must ask you now to identify this alleged accomplice by name. So, your answer, please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Trevor's accomplice?
I suspect her. I do suspect her. I have no proof, though. The other one... She's a possibility, too. And the other thing I could do... Austin could have been too. Guys, who is it? Let's start with, I think it might be Tuspells, and then she like... But I also don't think she would want her thing to be stolen. But maybe it's just like so she could be claim innocence. Let's try this. Because she made the body double.
Take that!
Nope. Okay.
Who is this person?
Someone intimately related to the crime, my lord.
Thank you, I'm aware of that person. But on what basis do you claim felony's involvement?
Wow. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Okay, I have a few ideas. I just don't know which one it is. Okay, the next person I'm going to claim is, I think, I've been very suspicious of her, but I don't have any proof. Let's try it. Because if it's not her, then I'm just going to point to the victim.
Take that!
The name... Oh, okay, I was right. To be fair, I don't know why Tespos would actually want her thing to be stolen. It just seems very convenient that she made the exact replica that they needed. You know what I mean? It's interesting. She's interesting. The name of this person in question. What's wrong, my friend? Surely fear doesn't bind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure it will be all right, Mr. Naruto. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. All right then, here goes. You've kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, Counsel. Now. The person who colluded with Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe.
What the blazes are you talking about, Dr. Scythe?
The head of the forensic investigation team and the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim. Yeah, I guess I should have known because, like, it could have... I forgot that she looked at the body, too. Yeah, that's the only way they could have done it. I'm just so confused why the lady happened to make an exact replica of what they needed. We know there are 2 bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make the way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. It's the white hair, man. It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify.
You got nerve, lad. Standing up there, dragging the god's name through the mud.
I change their voices every time. I didn't mean to.
I know the woman very well. Very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal?
My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. Proof. One which the prosecution demands you address at once.
A grave problem?
Oh my. Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger?
Oh yeah, I got it. I already have that. Certainly. The cage must also have contained a body.
And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim has been reported. Which means there was no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Osmond.
That's true. My argument is that there were 2 bird cages. There must have also been 1 person inside each. But I don't know if I got an answer to this yet, have I? Yes, I do! Okay, let me save. I have evidence. If I could just take the head off the lock. The lock off the head! I can't English, I'm sorry. But yes, I do actually have proof. Present evidence. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Osmond's body double. Good gracious, evidence? I do hope this isn't a filibustering consult. The court is expecting a name. If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now. The body double and the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that any witnesses would have only seen them from 60 feet away. So who was it that appeared out of that explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? Haha! The body double inside the second birdcage was... Where did it go? This thing.
Take that!
We know that the victim, Mr. Osmond, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage, and therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. What's been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the crystal tower.
Yes, counsel, according to your somewhat elaborate version of events.
And that body double inside the second birdcage was in fact... It's alright, Mr. Naruto. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself. And come out with it. Thank you, Mr. Sato. I needed that. They're so cute. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was, as unbelievable as it may sound, that thing there.
Objection!
Shut up. Open your eyes and look into mine, my friend. Now tell me, what are you playing at? Stand firm now, Ryunosuke. This is the time to show your Japanese spirit. Yes! Yes! As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. Ooh, not a good slam. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicating the leader of the forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime, and now you've moved on to indicate waxworks? Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? It looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it can hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? If you want to know why, ask Mr. Drebber. What? Just days before Professor Harebrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Tussbell's. Did you say abducted? And 2 days after the incident at the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then the timing.
Is this true, Mr. Drebber?
At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Drebber would have stolen the waxwork and then given it back again. But now the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Osmond. So Mr. Osmond was the original killer.
Objection!
Interesting. Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in collusion with this country's finest coroner, in a public stage in front of a vast audience. And that, to the effect of deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide? Oh, they might turn against me.
Objection!
Wait! Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. Implausible. My lord. Ah, alright, here we go. I need to speak if you please.
Go ahead, Mr. Foreman.
Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Okay, so now we have to do the cross-end. Okay. I was wondering when this was gonna come in. Uh-huh. Yep.
Guilty!
Yep.
Guilty!
They turned on me so quick.
Guilty!
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 What is this child doing here? Can we be so for real right now? What are we gonna get next? An infant?
So, as indicted by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus.
I knew that was gonna happen. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruto, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual and see if I can persuade them to change their minds.
The defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you and your fellow...
I love that they didn't even ask me. They knew I was gonna do it, so they're just like, alright, next step.
We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you now to state clearly for all the prisoners here, they found to which you decided that they're guilty.
That's so funny. He didn't even ask if we were gonna do it. He's like, next.
Step 2, summation examination time. Because this person knows nothing.
I've known that woman for years. She's never had an accomplice or anything. It's utter nonsense to think the two could ever be conniving with one another. Oh dear, this is most troubling, but surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I've had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. I see no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Accusing someone without what evidence is? He's not a proper job, is he? I won't have it.
You know, better reasons than we usually get. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given that its face is obscured and its build is in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting that it is Mr. Osmond's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it seems extraordinary, but that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model. Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean? Yes, and I'm convinced it's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim. Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. I have to find a way out of this. If you are ready, counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Alright. Look at him over there. He's such a weird character. Okay.
Hold it!
The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper, lad. A copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes when needs must. What's wrong with that? Where do we start? I've been working on 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had metal chopping police service in town for 70 years, you know. Of course, times have changed. The public didn't trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well. When we did. Forensic science was in its infancy, even more than it is now, and she spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Scythe, you mean? That's right. About 10 years ago now. It was when I was still a youngish Bobby on the beach. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, head of forensic investigation team, and a woman, no less. Women in science? What is this? Could you tell me without holding the gun in the air? We're all double with justice, lad. Full of vim, we are. Full of vim. That's coming across loud and clear. Okay.
Hold it!
Why is it utter nonsense? But we're only just starting to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those murders in the Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining the bodies. And it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh, that woman is in the forefront of this country's fight against crime. The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is loaded old tosh. I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around.
Hold it!
Why would you assume that?
Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he?
True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection.
Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have mutual interest in the waxwork.
Romantic?
A woman of science such as myself is...
Oh wait, I think I have an idea. I have an idea. One sec. Go back. Let me save. Was the report by Sky? I don't think so, but let me double check. I don't remember. Okay, let me just check some evidence real quick. We go to... Osmond, Drebber. Okay, not yet one. It's somewhere in here though. What about the autopsy report? Courtney Stevens.
Courtney Stevens. Okay, maybe we'll wait a second.
Hold it!
I'm just gonna press all of them. I'm not sure where to go with this. What sort of problems? Let's just say we have to run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences. So we perform my great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like.
Not in my day.
Not in my day! Oh my gosh, that was funny.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Audible? What do you call a mass murderer? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look at him. I don't like to be looking like anything like the man. You want to be locked up, sonny? Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. Clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? No one would call a coroner into question in them days. A coroner's report was all about an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put a name on it. Hey! She was the best of the best.
Hold it!
Hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Ah, sorry. Got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Scythe's maiden name. Aha! Her maiden name. So that was before she was married. Of course, yes. Silly me. Scythe now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure, yep. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days of policing, not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes. I don't see why not. Okay, do I present this evidence or do I pin him against somebody? Let's start by presenting the evidence. I don't know if that's gonna work right now. Oh, can I not present evidence? Okay, maybe I can pit him against her?
Objection.
Okay, good. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel? This case is getting hard, though. Like, that was pretty obscure if I hadn't been paying attention. So, juror number 2. Oh gosh, me? What can I do for you? I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement? It brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. I love watching him pace. Well, naturally, as a woman in society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But, oh golly, I'm afraid I failed to see what you mean. Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens. And through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it. My goodness, evidence you say? How enthralling. Counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. You must substantiate your claim. Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. Evidence.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report that has not been updated. From 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does this have? It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor. The Professors? But the man was a capital offender. That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens. Oh my, Courtney Stevens. Strike a light. It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber was very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Osmond, at all. Do you suppose that there's some unsavory relationship between those events? Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the Professor is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Enoch Drebber. Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is almost extraordinary. We're surely obliged to explore this further. La la la! Quite right. Can't let this trial come to an end now. Not with all this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. It wasn't like this in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice in the end. That's what we want to see, lad.
Hold it!
But you claimed the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, given that this cage appeared from the midst of the explosion, there'd been no need to use a real person. But if a waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have had the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science. Evidence? The waxwork was inside the birdcage. Can I see this quick? Examine. Do I have evidence in here? I don't know if I do. Alrighty, there's that. We're looking for any signs of wax, but I don't think I have any. It was worth a try. Alright, fine. We don't have your evidence yet, sir. I suppose we should expect nothing less than logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But then, that perhaps means his mind can be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. Evidence that Professor Waxwork was inside the birdcage? Okay. Hold on. I don't think I have any good evidence as of yet. Okay, so that's not it there. Let me just check the birdcage again. There's gotta be something I'm missing. Okay, we already looked at that. We looked at that. Evidence that it was inside the birdcage. I don't know if I have any. Do I? I don't know if I do yet. Let me just double check though. I would love to say I do. Let me check the... Not sure I see anything here. Yeah, let me just say I don't have anything yet. Well, I can state quite categorically, sir, that we have no such evidence at the present time. That much was abundantly clear before this brassy proclamation, I assure you. And why can you count the fact that I shan't be changing my leaning? Oh dear, that proclamation was even brassier than yours, Mr. Naruto. If only we had some evidence, things might be different, though.
Hold it!
Do you have evidence? I've got to ask, why have you brought that corn in court with you? Colonial Cub? He's been going back on the farm. Picked him up. Wait, it's a town. It's a proper nibbler. Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe we could wait until after the trial. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Unicolonials at home to use. Whenever I've begged to decide, the colonials always point in right the direction, say. I don't know what she said. You're talking about your cob of corn? Nibble, nobble, guilty, bibble, bobble, nibble, not guilty, ouch. Nibble, nobble, guilty, bobble, bibble, not guilty, ouch. Nibble, nobble, guilty, bobble, nibble, not guilty, out. Nibble, nobble, guilty, bobble, nibble, not guilty, out. Perhaps it's akin to fortune telling, which with flower petals like people do back home. So Professor Harebrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn. Could you not at least wait until we've had more time to find out the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt? Oh, I don't know about that. My time's already full already. Amazing. Okay, it seems a little far since the Baxter bottle test was in that birdcage. In the end, it explains a lot. There really is a reason why that particular waxwork had to be used. We must do everything we can to make the jurors understand it. The truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this, but it's the most puzzling part of it. In that case, you should see what additional information you can glean while trying to change the jurors' minds. Maybe I should press the third guy again. Okay, let's press you again.
Hold it!
What sort of problems? Let's say, yep. Obviously, we're going to be a stage. We work around some surroundings, from street corners and the likes. Police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Sometimes even cook up a story to extort monies from the poor. Well, that's definitely not right. Yes, and that's why I say that if you trust the police, you will have trouble. But here you are, claiming this waxwork model was stolen to star in an illusionary spectacular. They do so well, I think it will take my chances and never leave the authorities on this occasion. This is how the public uses Scotland Yard. Our own police force in Tokyo is not even 20 years old yet, is it? How should it be what happened here in London as a measure of what might happen at home? Yep. Yeah, it's like a Scotland yardstick. I wonder how a policeman would feel listening to the way the juror speaks about the force. I'm sure he'd have a word or two to say in response. Oh, okay, so what? What evidence do I have that the waxwork was ever inside the birdcage? Can I just present the head? What evidence do I have? I can't find any. Guys, I don't know what they want from me. I'm so close, but I'm so far. Oh, Z is back. I couldn't remember. Okay, I might need to just like pause and give myself some time to reread all of this evidence. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I went through all of the evidence I have, and I found the thing I was looking for. It had been so long since I'd seen it, I forgot about it, but I will show you. I know I did not look it up this time, and you know I'm not lying because I admit it when I have to look things up, but I figured this one out on my own. So actually, it had something you'd like to see, sir. Oh, I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. So you don't trust anyone in black? Looks like the mirror must be very trying. Alright, okay, the glass. Yeah, I forgot about the glass.
Take that!
But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot! What's that? A piece of glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket of the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower. Holy smokes! Exactly, the centerpiece of the Great Exhibition, where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated, is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that the clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you? Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule, however. When the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say colour just shouldn't come into it. In light of what you show me, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me save and see if I can pin. I was trying to wait for my snack break, but you know, if we're doing both of these back to back, I need I need sustenance, guys. Caffeine's not gonna cut it anymore. Okay. So we're going to pit you against...
Objection.
Oh, really? Okay, fine. Load. Maybe, oh, I bet it was to pin her against, or him against the little girl. Gotcha. Gotcha. I'm a little slow right now. Okay, here we go. Give it a minute to catch up. Okay, la 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 la. Okay, we're gonna pit you against you, miss.
Objection.
There we go. I forgot about the child. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. Yeah. Oh, you mean me? You've pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you. Oh, is that right? What would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument? I don't understand much besides colonial cob, to be honest. Of course you don't. If I could interject here. Please do, sir. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, would it be wrong of me as a matter of science not to pursue the matter further?
Ah, well, me too then.
Sorry?
If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be.
Say?
Won't dream of going against colonial car, but anyone who's got enough stuff in between the ears.
Yay! Love it. Love it. That's what we want to see. Success, if you can call it that. Good point. Thank you, counsel. That will do. Oh, yeah. What else is new? Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time. The trial must continue. We did it.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. Another wonderful victory.
I did pretty good on that one. I'm happy I didn't have to look anything up that time, so I had to look something up for the very first point of the case. That was tough. A waxwork of despicable professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does not least warrant further investigation. It's the waxwork of the professor that links Dr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link.
I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't.
The truth, sir, by using evidence and testimony. If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Madame Tuspels. I think she should come. Yeah, 100%. 100% she should come here. I really thought that Lord Van Zeeks would object to this whole line of inquiry. Well, he wants to find the truth. It's his best friend or whatever. Very well, I concur. Other than the Japanese bloke who he now doesn't like and therefore is against the entirety of the race, which is very healthy coping. Make arrangements. Listen carefully, my esteemed friend. Oh, yes? You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. Madame Tuspels, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. Alright, we are not stopping. We are going to keep going. So this is our lunch break, everyone. Yummy. Popcorn. Yum. Shame for popcorn. on, we can keep going, baby. You're in for a treat today, because we're finishing The Great Departed Soul. And I'm very happy about it. I hope my chewing not too loud in the microphone. Let's just stare at Sholmes for a minute. He's a pretty man. All right, I'm ready. Ah, the Knight Errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs, as a spectator at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. I have to ask, what on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? He doesn't look like any professor I've met before. Who even is he? Ah, of course. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew the monster would come knocking at your door? My heartfelt sympathies. As it turns out, Lord Van Zieks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now a waxworker the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. Do people get kicked in the teeth? An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. You make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. You know, my dear fellow, I must say that this feels like a final case, and yet it is not, and that is terrifying. Ah, yes, in what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Scythe, and Lord Van Zieks. It seems that everybody in this trial has a link to the case somehow. Yes. In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me in an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other. Excuse me. Dr. Scythe. Ah, Dr. Courtney Scythe, nee Stevens. Good day to you. Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Scythe. And I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened. That certainly won't be possible. Oh? Why, pray tell not? Lord Van Zieks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? The Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor's case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice! I've always fought crime in the way that I see fit. I have no regrets, none at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you. She mentioned it too, this Pandora's box. Whatever does it all mean?
There's really no cause for concern. I assure you when the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it or not. Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits.
I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much.
Yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of the trial this afternoon, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass.
Oh? Alright, I understand. Thank you. I'm slightly concerned, my friend.
Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth.
What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. See, they're making me feel like it's the last case, but there's 2 more. Anyway, it's time for the final chapter then. I'm determined to find the truth. No matter what. Can I talk to my best friend, please? Why can't we talk to him?
Open Pandora's box, my friend. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue?
The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready.
As the court is aware, their case under our scrutiny began with the damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation.
It seems to be the fate of all trials in which this... I can't! Whatever.
So then, let us begin with our explanation of the defense's assertion that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this matter. Lord Van Zieks?
My lord.
Are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tospels?
Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned.
Very well. Bring in the witness.
At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tospels to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Drebber is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have an accomplice in Dr. Scythe. And what connects the pair of them is the waxwork. Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present, it's all we have to go on. I'm scared.
What is my popcorn? What in the world are you...
Is that... is that Schultz? Okay. State your name and occupation for the court, please. My name is Madame Astroneta Tospels. I am waxworks artisan. I can't do French. Okay. And as the proprietress of the Madame Tospels Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon. Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now that there are 2 of them in the world. Oh my, what expression is she carving onto that face? A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this? Oui, that is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped.
A waxwork model? Kidnapped?
Yes, my lord. There was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim. At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim in the case in question, Mr. Ori Osman. But of course, I know him well. He is part of my Ori as personages exhibits. I
detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Osmond does not resemble the professor at all.
Yes, but perhaps their faces are similar.
Are you suggesting we should see the message of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock.
This is absurd.
Pardon?
I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath the mask, but clearly it won't be that of the actual killer.
Indeed, the man's identity was never made public after all.
The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information.
Queer the mush. It would seem you are unaware of the Tuspel's principles.
What principles?
The famous Tuspel has always prided itself in sculpting models a la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. Et voilà, our principles.
There's a well-known legend about the Tuspel's waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tuspel's family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed.
Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now.
I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually at the guillotine site.
You are correct. Her model is on display still today on the House of Horrors. We Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain the faithful replica of our rough subjects.
Dear me, what a somewhat disturbing tenacity of purpose.
It is only a way to attain a truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
The true features of the killer is there.
This is ludicrous. It's out of the question.
The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular, even today. The killer, emerging from his own grave, is the sight to behold. You should come.
I think, Madame, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on the matter. You explain every detail of this macabre model, and your personal involvement in its creation.
With pleasure. I eat more popcorn.
Yummy.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on the rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of visage was taken directly from the corpse in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. It enlisted the aid of gravedigger and created a mold for heads in cemetery just before interment. I hid myself until he gave me signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried I would be discovered.
Are you serious? The gravedigger, the man sanctioned this.
Oui, I could do all the necessary to achieve true resemblance my family has celebrated for. Nobody else knew. Only gravedigger. What harm did it do, huh?
So you truly saw it. The face of that monster. He's kind of scary.
Naturally, I was aware at time that his identity was secret. But Tuspels would not be Tuspels if we did not insist in absolute fidelity to our sculptures.
I don't believe this. I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, Madame. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave.
Her scene depicts was subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from time. The special exhibit was based upon picture in this article. It was most detailed account of what happened, as reported by art witness who saw it.
Can we see this man's face? Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words. The public enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum.
And it's waxwork from the exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it? I did not read that right.
That is correct. The professor you see before you here.
Most puzzling. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Scythe, and there has to be some reason for that, which hasn't come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. I'll prove that Dr. Scythe and Drebber were in on this crime together.
Hey! Hey. Alright, you French abomination!
Sorry, you know, the racist Miles Edgeworth be rubbing off on me, you see. Okay. A special exhibit in House of Horrors based on a rumor that shocked society in London. We already know that. Oh, wait, hold on. I just want to examine the newspaper. Oh, it's just a magnifying glass? Okay, fine, whatever. Whatever! Okay, next. An impression of its outstanding dark from the corpse. What?
Hold it!
Is that true of every waxwork in your museum?
It is. Assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all time, you know.
What sort of letters?
When my time comes, please make waxwork of me. Cometa?
I don't know what that says. I don't speak French.
No. My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into waxwork is honor. And for some criminals, a similar status even.
Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax.
And it's thanks to one killer in particular my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to start of special exhibit, of course, Professor.
Whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse.
There are no exceptions to principles of trespass.
Which gravedigger? Surely that's illegal, isn't it? It would seem the proprietress of this repository of novelties was blinded by monetary greed.
It has nothing to do with the money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him to record this history. It is raised the tree of the Trespass Museum.
But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary present know the killer's true identity.
I assure you, behind the mask is hidden the true face of the professor.
Do you realize what you're saying? The professor's identity is a national secret.
I understand. And now that the truth about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close.
Of course it will. As will your entire museum if you don't tread carefully, madame.
That could be another interesting chapter in history of my family, I think. Don't you?
So 10 years ago, on the night of the professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse?
Oui, exactamente.
Hold it!
You say that dawn was approaching? What was the time of day then, approximately?
Well, I could not say. But when I left cemetery with utensils and wax, the morning light was visible.
The execution took place on 17th June, which had the earliest sunrise that year. Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning. That really is early.
The fact is, I have very little time, so I finished my work in half hour. It was necessary to complete impression and bury body before daybreak, of course. If somebody had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry.
Is it me, or does Mr. Sholmes seem to be taking shape more quickly now, too? You certainly appear to be going to extraordinary lengths for your work, madame. I wonder, is she just said particularly significant? Sure. Madame, those details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture in the early sunrise? Could you include them in your testimony? I believe they may be significant.
Of course, if you would like me to. You're quite right, Mr. Naruhodo. It is intriguing. A sunrise at 4 in the morning would be absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it? That's not quite what I meant by significant. Kindly amend your formal testimony then, madame.
With pleasure, my lord. I hurried to finish work in half hour before sunrise, then I left as soon as corpse was interred. Okay, let me save and then look at my evidence, because I have now 4 pages of evidence, so I do not know how to keep track of it all. But, I am professional. Oui, mademoiselle. Mademoiselle. Alright, we need to present the evidence.
Okay, wait.
No.
Midnight.
Objection!
No? Okay. And this is why we are saving the progress. Okay, fine. Fine. You're so picky. There's so many things. Maybe it's in the paper and I just wasn't paying attention. Admittedly, when did he see the guy rising apparently? Hold on. Paper?
Objection!
No? Okay. You just listen for the music stopping. Tips. I am the best Ace Attorney cheater of all time. Okay. Okay, present evidence. Post-explosion photograph, Drebber's contract. I don't know. Guys, I don't know what they want from me. Okay. Balloon. There's a camera. I don't know. Let me press the statement. I'm actually not sure what they want from me. Did you have a reason to believe you might be discovered once the sun came up or something?
I had paid the gravedigger money to keep matters a secret, of course. But with morning light, I knew the warden from the prison would commence his patrol of area.
Couldn't you have just paid off the warden too then?
I had already paid the gravedigger, as I said. You cannot buy silence for everyone, or secrets is no longer secret, huh?
The sunrise was at 4:40 a.m. that day, which means that it would have been around 4 when you began your sculpting work.
Oui, that must be correct. Then would be when the gravedigger gave me signal to come back to fighting.
So that's all I have to go on. What's your feeling, Mr. Naruto? For some reason, Dr. Scythe went along with Drebber's plan. Now, if that's really true, then the professor is the only other thing we know of that links the pair of them. So I feel sure that Waxwork must be a clue to this mystery. In that case, we must use this cross-examination to uncover exactly what it means. Otherwise, the jurors are sure to revert their leanings and the trial will be over. I agree, but interestingly, uncovering what the professor has to do with all this means more to Lord Van Zieks than anyone. That's the impression I'm getting anyway.
Yes, as do I.
After all, he has a profound connection to the professor as well. Okay. Okay, present what?
What evidence do you want me to present? The camera?
Objection!
Not the camera. What do you want from me, stupido?
These are getting too complicated for me. I am a simple brain. I'm just a girl in the world.
Hold it!
You were there longer than you expected to be? I had some difficulties in capturing subject form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the captor fell open, and I had some problems with Jin.
Dare I ask?
The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles are relaxing, and consequently, his chin would not align itself correctly. Oh dear, what a horrible thought. Under normal circumstances, I could have assistance with me. However, that night I was alone, and as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time.
What do you mean?
When I had taken possession of the pieces of character, I always wait until 3 hours after death.
Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant?
It is because of rigor mortis.
Wriggly mortis? She's just like, I'm so done with this man.
It's the name given to the phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to their relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered.
Well, that was an education, if a slightly scary one.
As the mademoiselle says, the rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and it starts with the jaw.
I see. So that's why you wait.
Before that time, the mouth falls open, and this is very difficult to do my work.
Ugh, it's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. What if it's significant? The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us, would you mind including it in your formal testimony?
Of course, I do not mind at all. I can't help feeling that after this latest topic, the atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave.
This is no time for jokes, Miss Susato. Madam, kindly amend your testimony.
Oh, bien sûr. Ha 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 ha. And now we are supposed to save. She want to wait 3 hours. But the body was executed at midnight? Was it not?
I'm very confused. I don't understand. Alright, present evidence.
Objection!
Yay! Madam Tuspels, I have here an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. It confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows.
And is that the problem?
I believe it is, because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradict one another.
Really?
Are you going to explain yourself, my friend? According to her testimony, Madame Tuspels was creating her wax impression just before dawn, and at that time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Am I correct so far, Madame?
You are, yes. As I said, stiffening of jaw is first sign of rigor mortis, 2 to 3 hours after death. But man's chin was limp, so he cannot have been dead for a long time.
But on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Sai's report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th of June. No. If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would have already set in.
Oui, yes, you are right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff.
In other words, this report is wrong.
Objection!
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. The very idea is absurd. In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't actually take place at the stated time. I'm impossible! Ha!
I'm enjoying my popcorn. This is very entertaining. Guys, who am I in the stands? Ding, ding, ding! I'm Herlock Sholmes, enjoying the show. Counsel, this is beyond folly. Not only do you indict the author of the report, Dr. Scythe, you also implicate members of staff at Berkeley Prison where the execution took place. By heck, extraordinary.
Objection.
Not on my day. My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact. What fact? The professor died that night. Without question. He did? Of course he did. I can move Manson jaw with my own... Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows? Didn't die it? Are you insane? What exactly are you suggesting did happen in that case? It's almost impossible to believe, but it would explain the link between Dr. Scythe, the professor, and the one other person of interest. I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night. Counsel, present the evidence at once. What really happened the night the professor's was somebody else killed? I feel like it's the statue.
Take that.
What have we here?
Objection.
Okay, I guess not. Before considering the night of the execution, I would strongly advise the defense to concentrate on what is happening right now in this courtroom. What? Okay, fine. So mean to me. I don't know, man. I just work here. Let's see. What really happened on the night of the execution?
Take that.
What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery. You're suggesting that it was a corpse coming back from the dead now. Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection.
Don't be a fool. That's simply a rumor published by the gutter press. Can you be certain of that? Oh goodness, I press buttons. Ah! Are you serious? The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened. My, indeed, yes. Marie, the young man who stopped in cemetery by chance. I can't do a French accent.
Objection.
Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself, but obviously the man made it all up. And in any case, that was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding him. Shush. On the contrary, my lord, we all know this witness well. What? Are you suggesting, counsel, that you've identified the person in question? You know who claims to have seen these utterly incredible events take place. Yes, my lord. In fact, you would say that he's right here before my very eyes. You will substantiate your latest claim now, counsel. Who is the alleged witness of this staggering scene at the cemetery 10 years ago?
Take that.
The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebber. Drebber. The previous witness. The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Trustbell's Museum of Waxwork recreates that decade-old scene in great detail. Ah! The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber. It's gonna get cray-cray. And we've created pandemonium as per usual. Yeah, okay, order. What now? Surely not, Council. Drebber was there, in Lowgate Cemetery. Well, I thought everyone knew that.
What is this talk about Mr. Drebber? Is name significant?
Of course, Madame Tussbells doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, Madame. To your situation as well, in fact.
What situation?
The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man.
None! But that would mean...
Madame Tussbells, it would appear you know the name Enoch Drebber.
Yes, I know it. But from long ago in past.
What?
Oh my!
Good gracious. Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know.
Yes, of course. The story of young man in terrible sight who worked in the cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London throughout Great Britain. However, in all certain articles, witness was simply described as a certain young man. No details were published about his identity. His name was never revealed. That is apart from that in one newspaper. The Daily Circus. It is paper from which comes article I have already shown the court.
You're saying that his full name was only publicized in that article? Goodness me, yes, here it is. The university student who experienced this shocking event, Mr. Enoch Drebber. A disciple of science at the University of London and a resident of its student dorms. Unbelievable.
When I read the article, I want to meet the man. His discovery of condemned criminal coming back to life in cemetery in dead of night would make perfect exhibit of my way house of horrors, whether it is truth or not.
I see, so you went to meet Mr. Drebber in order to sculpt a waxwork of the man, did you?
Exactamente. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was post student. I paid him £5 to model for the waxwork. And since that time, it has been in my museum to recreate scene from terror from the cemetery. Wee. Oh boy. Oh me, oh my. Not good.
So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he'd witnessed. A criminal who had been put to death, re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote. That was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a waxwork model of the executed criminal, ostensibly to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today, even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim and its face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago, when the birdcage crashed into the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage had in fact contained not the body of Mr. Osmond, but the same waxwork, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated, Dr. Scythe, would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court has seen earlier. Why? Because the waxwork was that of the professor. Is that what you're saying? Dr. Scythe put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who is still alive. A criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Drebber. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Drebber used that particular waxwork as the body double. Yeah, I already said that. My lord, this court must summon Dr. Scythe to the stand. The defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber are connected.
But according to the missive I received this morning through the prosecutor's office, Dr. Scythe is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case?
Come on. She told us so herself, didn't she? This just happened. We don't need a flashback.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. We already know this. Stop. Stop. Okay. Here we go. Something happened. Blah, 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 blah. And surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of that more than Lord Van Zieks. Come on. Come on, man. The prosecution calls for the instructions in that missive to be scrapped.
But, Lord Van Zieks, the missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice's office.
Objection!
The assigned prosecutor has the final say on policy in any particular trial. In other words, me. Yes. Let Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe both take the stand together. Let's go! Ah! That's crazy.
Order! Very well, I will uphold your request. Bailiff, send a subpoena with immediate effect addressed to Dr. Scythe of the Forensic Investigation Team. The woman is compelled.
Alright then, Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe. If they weren't colluding with one another, this crime could never have been committed. I'm just a stone's throw away, I could feel it. The truth behind all of this is about to come out. Ah! Thank you for your attendance in such short notice, Dr. Scythe. I'm disappointed in you, Lord Van Zieks. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office. Betrayal is not in my nature, as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgruntles, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt. Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of a machine that you constructed in your workshop. And Dr. Scythe, as the investigating coroner, you were the first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime. And where's your evidence? At present, we have no definitive evidence, but we do have a very significant clue. What are you talking about? I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. This model of the killer known as the Professor, who was sentenced to death 10 years ago. You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes, and officially pronounced him dead. That remains to be seen. Is that so? According to the newspaper reports from the time, on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life. Don't waste my time. And the sole witness to that mysterious event was you, Dr. Drebber. Wasn't it, Mr. Drebber, not a doctor? If what you saw in the graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction, but reality, it would make you privy to a very great secret of Dr. Scythe's. A secret so profound that it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court. Tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery. So he was a student who saw it. You can see the resemblance actually, can't you? Surely he's not going to claim that's what he really saw. He was a research student at the University of London, wasn't he? And a bit too clever for his own good, if you ask me. What an interesting twist. When at the time, not one person would take me seriously. Yet now here we are, 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters. And in a court of law, too. Very well then. If everyone so wishes. Let's be frank. I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night for what it's worth.
So, Mr. Drebber, your testimony, please, about the events of that night 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery.
Of course, as you wish. Here we go! The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery, 10 years ago, was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we say. Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article is based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realize I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist, and it was all because of that newspaper article. Lies! You tell lies!
Wait a minute! You're claiming you didn't actually see the professor now?
Of course. You'd have to have a screw loose if you believed a corpse had come back from the dead.
But, so, you're saying this article is...
Not what the paper it's printed on. I think that would describe it perfectly, yes. If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe would be working together. So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument?
Tell me, witness. You claimed to have been in the cemetery in some auxiliary business. Can you elaborate?
He's a gravedigger. That's right. Grave robbing, to be precise. As you know, Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So among students at the university, it had a reputation for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts.
Grave robbing, you say?
Yes. Exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuables buried with the dead.
So you were one of the so-called resurrectionists, a particularly unpleasant scourge in society.
Actually, my fellows and I went by another name, the repurposers.
That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir.
Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper in the bad grace in identifying me unambiguously, I might add. I see. Out of interest, who drew the illustration for this article? Ah, yes, that was the reporter who exposed me. He sketched that right in front of me as I described the scene. Obviously, as time ticked on, I bitterly regretted what I'd done, claiming to have seen something I never truly saw. Foolish, very foolish.
Well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed to the cross-examination.
At once, my lord. You lie! Liar! Okay, if there's gotta be something I need to press, I just gotta think. Why were you carrying a shovel? Do I have evidence? Oh wait, I bet she's gonna, hold on, let's press here. I bet she's gonna react. Just an idea. By moonlighting, you mean grave robbing, do you? Surely you only need to look at the graveyard scene and my appearance to gouge the answer to that. The lantern and a spade. But who on earth would want to buy a dead body? Any major hospital. A hospital? In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science. But there isn't a hospital in the world that has enough specimens to work with. though obviously they can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by dubious means. As aspiring scientists, we young research students had no money to work with, so I'm sure you can imagine. So we made surreptitious arrangements with the hospital via some of our medical student acquaintances. We would never take anything of value from the graves. This was all for the furtherance of science, you see. That's what we told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand. You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could expect the gravest of consequences. We students were caught between the hammer and the anvil. We needed funds for research. Professor Harebrain said exactly the same. I'm quite speechless at the apparent levity by which you revealed this abhorrent behavior. Well, if you wanted to know why I was there at Logate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected it to end the way it did. That I regret to this day. The illustration in the paper is based on what I witnessed that night. Is it now? I just want to take a look at something. Who's got a shovel, a lantern? Osman. Osman? Where have I heard that name before? I just want to see if they want me to press more. What's Drebber up to? Why would he suddenly change his mind and recant his claim? I wonder if perhaps it's because the circumstances have changed now. What circumstances? Well, if he admits to having seen the professor emerging alive from his grave 10 years ago, it will expose a secret in Dr. Scythe's past that she would desperately want to hide. Yes, of course. If Drebber and Dr. Scythe are working together now, then if Drebber was to betray her, there'd be no reason for her to continue to cooperate. In that case, there's only one way around it. I'll have to prove we really did see it. Yes, Mr. Naruto, exactly. Okay, let me press the second statement.
Hold it!
The strange happenings at Logate Cemetery, which you now deny? Not entirely. I ran to fetch the police at the time, you know. I was shaking like a leaf. But they didn't believe a word of it. In fact, I was very nearly arrested myself. So you went to the papers instead? I started big with the London News, but unsurprisingly, they didn't want to know either. In the end, though, it was the reporters from the gossip rags, the gutter press, that came to get my story. It spread like the plague through the capital as gossip-hungry Londoners lopped up the tail. The story was in every single paper at the time, with the exception of some broadsheets. And yet, only 2 or 3 of them actually interviewed me personally. Most of the accounts turned out to be very interpretive ghost stories. What about the article in the Daily Circus? That particular journalist found me at my dormitory. I don't know how, but he discovered my name. So I recounted him exactly what happened that night. And from your description, he drew this illustration. Is Osman the guy that just got killed? I'm like, oh yeah, duh. Precisely, that's how I learned that the condemned man was the infamous professor. Because the reporter told me so. I had no idea myself, you see. Newspaper reporters are wont to swoop around in matters that don't concern them. So the scene portrayed in the illustration is accurate then? Well... Thinking back now, I realized that I never actually saw the professor at all, though.
Hold it!
What are you talking about? I think I explained already, didn't I? Logate Cemetery is at the rear Barclay prison, so it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of the condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard that night, and as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life. But you said you actually saw it! I said what I'd seen in my mind's eye.
After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night. I don't know. Is there any material evidence that could really show you did see the professor? If we have anything at all, Mr. Naruto, I know. I need to present it against the irritatingly backtracking statement of his. The point is, the night was a pivotal moment in my life. One second. Can I present the newspaper article here? Because it's signed by what's-his-face. Which seems to be an obvious clue. Let's try it.
Objection!
Okay. I was on the right track. Sorry, Mr. Drebber, but I don't believe that. Don't believe what? Your latest claim. You did see the professor on the night 10 years ago. Oh dear, we seem to be at odds. But I was there, and you were not. I know what I didn't see. The illustration with this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. A figure emerging from a tomb wearing an iron mask. Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago, it was decided in the closed court's ruling that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity. It wasn't to be removed even during his execution and subsequent burial. Not even the prison wardens were to see the man's face, but obviously the provision of his mask was not public knowledge. So, Mr. Drebber, as you've just heard, a lowly student of the University of London certainly wouldn't have known about the condemned man's mask. So unless you'd actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in that illustration. Ugh! No! No! Order! Well, Mr. Drebber? It's a vile scene, isn't it? If you look closely. And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified. Which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses and realized that I'd been mistaken. You're still trying to say you didn't see it? If you're stubbornly sticking to that story, witness, then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceived you. Of course. Only too happy to oblige. I can't believe he's still not going to concede to the point. What I in fact witnessed was a fellow grave robber at work. A grave robber at work? What? Okay. Should I press the statement first? Probably.
Hold it!
A fellow grave robber? What are you talking about? Well, I wasn't the only one busy at the cemetery that night, you know. Other body snatchers were at work. Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he dug, my heart was nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight I actually saw, you see. You're claiming that it was just another student on equally insalubrious business as yourself. Many of the medical students would wear metal masks to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Clearly the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity, wouldn't you say?
Objection!
But there's more to the story, isn't there? In the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath then stilled once more. We might assume that the section discovered the miscreants at work, perhaps, and fired upon one of them. If a gravedigger had shot someone in the cemetery, I think that might have been rather big news, my lord. Ah, yes, well. I can only assume it was an embellishment builded later by the reporter.
Excuse me!
Excusez-moi! Madame Tuspels! Don't take it out on Mr. Sholmes. Oh la la, pardon. Whoa,
Whoa! What accent just came out of my mouth? I was lost in my thoughts. Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way? I thought it was a little strange, that's all. How Monsieur Drebber could claim this now? If you don't mind me saying, madame, what are you talking about? Well, when I met you 10 years ago at the university dormitory, you recounted to me about your adventures in the cemetery, no? Including the gunshot.
Stop. You might want to watch your tongue, you know.
Objection!
Have a care, Drebber. That's no way to speak to a lady. Grr. Please, Madame Tussbells, carry on.
Of course. According to what Monsieur Drebber told me at the time, he did hear gunshot from behind him, and bullet hit condemned man.
I said nothing of the sort.
None, you were very explicit about the details, about the mask that the figure was wearing, and the blood that spattered over you when he was shot.
Enough! Shut up, woman. You're making all this up. I will do, Mr. Drebber.
Yes.
You refute the account just given by Madame Tussbells. I have no recollection of ever saying those things. Come on, do you really expect us to believe you? Control yourself, counsel. I will not permit baseless accusations in my courtroom. Right. Under the circumstances, I think it's best that you supplement your testimony with a statement to clarify your position on this witness. Very well. Appreciate your help. Thank you. Thank you. Do I have evidence to suggest otherwise? Let me just, I
just want to look at the paper real quick. The picture that was provided. Okay, no spattering a blood show. Oh, wait. I have evidence. There's no, where was their blood found? Give me a second. Oh, where was it? It was found in the, was that in the mask? I can't remember. I don't think it was in this thing. There was the camera. The camera. That's right. One sec. Uno momento, por favor.
Objection!
Wait! What do you mean, objection? It was in the camera, stupid! Okay, fine. I guess it's not evidence enough, so you must give me a moment. Because they're not being nice to me, but there was literally blood found inside the camera! Okay, I'm just gonna press the statement first to make the game happy. I just threw popcorn all over the place. I hope you're happy.
Hold it!
Yes. Yeah, Madame Tussbells to testify that you told her about both of those details.
Not true. I said nothing of the sort. 10 years have passed. Without material evidence to the contrary, you have no grounds on which to question the witness's word.
Ah! Tell me, Madame Tussbells. Really? What exactly did Mr. Drebber say about the blood that apparently splattered on him? Aros, this is what he told me. All of a sudden, he had a very long gunshot from behind his back. The bullet hit figure who was emerging from a tomb in middle of chest, in his heart.
One dreadful sight after another.
And since Monsieur Drebber was at time facing towards this condemned man, the blood sprayed from wound and spotted on his body. That's what he told me.
So, not an experience you would ever forget, is it? Precisely, and I didn't forget it because I've already said. It never happened in the first place. He's clearly lying. If only I had some evidence to prove it. I do have evidence! But it didn't work! Do I have to observe the camera again?
Okay, you're getting on my nerves. One sec. Okay, let me save. There's literally blood. I'm losing my mind. It's in the camera. Do I need to observe it again? Maybe I have to observe it again. One sec. All right. Present evidence. Let me look at the camera. Stupid. Getting on my nerves. Because if we open it... Yeah, okay, let me just... It's already been observed, though. What do you mean? Oh my goodness, this is so annoying. There's blood in the camera, people. Ugh, fine. Fine. I must have other evidence then, because... Goodness, you're getting on my nerves. Okay, fine.
Objection!
No? I'm so annoyed. I'm actually so annoyed. There's blood in the camera. What else do you want from me? I'm upset. There is blood in the camera. You wouldn't have blood in the camera if it hadn't splattered you. Okay, do I have any other evidence other than a literal bloody camera? So annoying. No. Blood. I don't know what they want. I'm actually so confused. I guess I'll just... Okay, apparently... Whatever.
Hold it!
I have a camera. That young woman, Madame Testbells. Precisely, I must say. I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later. As I have explained, I went by the name published an article. Comicstar I found them. Oh, what the? Did I just read? Yes, the article in the Daily Circus, I think you said. I was a poor student with barely a penny to my name at the time. And the young lady put £5 in front of me. So, you readily consented to have a waxwork of yourself made and gave permission for it to be put on display. I did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded. I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day. Ne sais quoi? Did you? I can't say I remember. What was it, madam? Okay, now we mention the camera? Ugh. Oh yes, I made a point of taking it with me whenever I made an excursion into the cemetery. You took a camera with you, sir. To what end? To record the details of the bodies I had disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a graveyard again after that night, so I sold it. I see. But I still have it, monsieur. It's part of a special exhibit in my House of Horrors. I am very meticulous about such details. It is Testbells' way. It would seem, then, that this is the very camera Mr. Trevor took with him to Lowgate Cemetery on the night in question. Yes, interesting. So I had to get the details updated. That's so stupid. I'm actually so mad. I had to... Whatever. I made the game happy, I guess. I'm so annoyed. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Fine. Guess what evidence? I have a camera as evidence against your claim, sir.
Objection!
I'm so mad. Okay, here we go. Mr. Drebber, do you remember this camera? But that is camera from Fatal Night. Yes, we borrowed it from the House of Horrors. It's the camera you took with you to the cemetery that night, Mr. Drebber. And is that supposed to be significant? This kind of camera is rarely seen in our homeland, so my colleague and I were keen to examine it closely. We noticed that the lens extends forwards on the end of the same bellows. Like this. What's that there, just on the bellows? It looks like a dark red stain. Wow, Sherlock! You did it! It's almost like we saw it first. That's right. It's a rather conspicuous mark here on the bellows, in fact.
Are you suggesting?
Yes, my lord. It would appear to be a spatter of blood. Something that could be confirmed with a simple chemical test, isn't that right, Dr. Scythe? It would be difficult to determine if it was human blood and not the blood of some animal. But yes, to test whether or not it's blood at all is simple enough. I propose that Madame Tussbell's testimony was correct, and that on the night in question 10 years ago, you were spattered with blood from the gunshot wound. Well, And that, furthermore, you really did witness the condemned professor emerging from his tomb. Ah! There's simply no way you could have forgotten such a traumatic experience. In other words, the only explanation is that you're trying to hide the fact that you saw the professor that night.
Objection!
But why? Why would he do that? Well, not for his own gain, it would seem. For whose, then? Who could benefit? Mr. Drebber is obviously lying in order to protect somebody.
My goodness, he's shielding someone.
Yes, my lord, and clearly, it's someone who doesn't want the truth about the professor coming back to life to be exposed.
Well, counsel, who is it then? Whose is this witness trying to protect by lying about what he saw that night?
Well, that's easy enough.
Take that!
The obvious answer is Dr. Scythe.
Scythe. What? Whatever do you mean?
Imagine if the convict who'd been sentenced to death was not in fact killed. Imagine if that was to come to light. What are you insinuating? And imagine if the convict in question was the country's most hated mass murderer. If it was the professor.
That would be an unprecedented scandal.
Objection!
This is beyond a joke. Need I point out that the dead cannot come back to life? What you're suggesting would mean that the execution never actually happened. Yes, that's exactly what it would mean.
Objection!
Once a man is sent to the gallows, he hangs. No one could escape. Not in Great Britain.
Objection!
But the fact is, there was a witness to the fact that the man did escape with hanging.
If that were true, counsel, the implications of his conduct would not stop at the supervising coroner. It would taint the honor of the entire judiciary from the ground up.
And it's exactly because of those monumental repercussions that Dr. Scythe would consent to any demand made by someone who threatened to expose the secret, even if that meant being complicit in a crime.
You mean...
I mean that Dr. Scythe wasn't collaborating in Mr. Drebber's wicked scheme. She was coerced into collaborating in order to protect her decade-old secret. She switched the dead body of Mr. Osmond with the waxwork model and fabricated the autopsy report. Enjoy the show. Get your foot off the table!
Lord Van Ziegs.
Pray forgive my freshly filled hallowed chalice, and a whole raft of other discourtesies now.
Goodness me.
It's just the sort of tall tale Londoners would enjoy, I grant you. An executed killer rising from the dead, a Scotland Yard cover-up, a conspiracy at the highest levels. So let me ask you one thing. What's that? If the condemned man really did emerge from his tomb that night, only to be shot in the chest, who pulled the trigger? And disposed of him forever? Well, I've no idea at the moment. We have too little information to work that out at present, I think. I couldn't agree more. The Old Bailey is no place for wild fantasies. And have you considered this, my learned friend? Considered what? Do you really think just what a dangerous endeavor it would be to coerce this woman into such criminal activity? It's tantamount to declaring war on the entire British police force and judiciary. What? Hard to imagine any sum of money being offered from research could warrant it. To rely on some staged deception when so much is at stake would be madness. Well, I suppose. And this was no petty crime either. The victim was murdered. A man who'd already invested money into the venture, and would be instrumental in further profits too. Yes, I had no reason to kill Mr. Osmond at all. Or are you forgetting that his death results in me receiving not a single penny? The court is already aware of the contract between myself and the victim, no? There is the contract, that's very true. The motive for this case runs deep, though. I can feel it. Using threats to force the head of the forensic investigations team to cooperate is extreme, especially for a government grant he had no guarantee of receiving in the first place. If the research grant was the aim, taking Mr. Osmond's life would have made no sense anyway. Which means Mr. Drebber's motive wasn't money at all. He was just trying to kill Mr. Osmond. But why? What was his motive? Your time is up, my learned friend. I'd say you have one last chance before the jury lose their patience with this charade. Let's see if you can back up your heady proposals, shall we? Not him dodging it. How do you explain why this engineer would throw all caution to the wind and threaten his own country? At this point, I'm not prepared to listen to more of this outlandish conjecture without proof. So, counsel, present your evidence. Alright. Who exactly was Mr. Osmond to Drebber? There's a connection that no one's seen yet, and I'm going to have to present 2 pieces of evidence to show what it is. I know what one of them is. Yes, my lord. I'm just here choking on popcorn. That's Osmond. Yeah, okay. That's easy. Okay.
Take that!
It's this newspaper article, my lord. That was written 10 years ago, and every detail has been examined already. What can it possibly tell us? That drivel should never have written. It's typical gutter press nonsense that means nothing. Yes, and on its own it isn't particularly significant. However, when considered alongside another piece of evidence, it will completely explain your motive for wanting Mr. Osmond dead. What other evidence? Counsel, you will present your supplementary evidence without delay. The evidence, which cross-referenced with this newspaper article, establishes the motive for the deed. The investor and the contract provider, Mr. Enoch Driver, to fund labor and materials. One sec. I might save here. I know like what it is, but I need I just want to make sure I have a is it the camera? No, I don't know. See if I can figure this out. Might just take me a couple tries. This case has been very picky. Okay, my first guess it has something to do with the contract. But my other guess... Let's try it.
Take that!
I might be wrong. I think it's fair to say, okay. I just am not sure exactly where they're going with this, but that's okay, because I know the first half is right. The second half, maybe I'll try the contract. I'll try the contract. I know the contract might be right. I'm not entirely sure where they're going with this. If it wants to load. Okay. Contract?
Take that!
Okay. Oh, I was right. Okay. You know, I'm usually getting the second guess. Not too bad for me. It's his contract, my lord. Mr. Drebber, this is the contract you signed with Mr. Osmond. Yes, that's right. Very document. That proves I had no reason to kill the man. No, I'm afraid not. What? There's something very significant that this newspaper article and contract have in common. Really? And it's the common link that shows very clearly why you were determined to kill Odie Osmond. It seems the defense has uncovered something the rest of us have missed. So, my learned friend, point out what these two pieces of evidence have in common. Where exactly is the link between this newspaper article and the contract? I'm scared. I have gotten everything wrong on my first try, but I think it's the signature in the corner.
Take that!
What these two pieces of evidence have in common is a signature. A signature? The signature on the illustration that accompanies the 10-year-old article and signature on the contract belong to the same person. What? As the court has heard, this illustration was drawn 10 years ago by the newspaper reporter who found Mr. Drebber and interviewed him about his ordeal. If you look closely, the reporter's signature can be seen on the bottom right corner of the drawing. There's no way I'm the only one who noticed that. And if you look at the contract here, which was signed between the witness and the victim last year, you can clearly see Mr. Osmond's signature at the bottom. Let me see now. They're identical. In short, the journalist who drew the illustration and wrote the article published about Mr. Drebber 10 years ago was the victim of this case, Mr. Odie Osmond. I actually didn't think he would be the journalist, though, because I didn't catch that right away.
Objection!
But, like, how did this... I'm so confused. But explain to the court why. Sorry, you're eating food at the moment? Why would that constitute a motive for the witness to murder Osmond? Well, if you think back, you'll remember that Mr. Drebber talked about that article in his testimony. Grave robbing, you say? Yes. Exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir. Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper with a bad grace. Yep. Literally revenge plot? A revenge plot? 10 years in the making, At the time, you were a student at the University of London who dreamt of becoming a scientist. However, this single newspaper article changed your entire life. Mr. Osmond used to be a newspaper journalist, did he? He did, my lord. In fact, it's a widely held belief that Osmond managed to position himself at the heart of his criminal network, thanks to the many dubious connections he made during his time as reporter. So you had to give up on your dream and leave university. You lost everything. Eventually, you found yourself working in the field of science, but only in the shadows. And all because of that article, written by Mr. Osmond. Enough. Enough.
Stop this endless drivel about my life. What? Explain yourself, Mr. Trevor. Yes, it's true. I had to leave the university as a result of that article. But it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. What do you mean? Almost every student of science in the faculty was too poor to actually conduct any research. But they struggled on with their hypotheses anyway. We all did. Only to have them taken away by vultures. Sooner or later, you knew your ideas would be stolen and patented by some wretch or another after all. Good gracious! Making a name for yourself as a scientist in a climate like that was a miracle only a select few geniuses could ever hope to achieve. Personally, I wasn't one of those geniuses, so it was hardly a wretch. Being forced out of the university because of Lowgate was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Objection!
Mr. Drebber, do you genuinely believe that? Of course I do. Who's better placed to know whether or not I possess a talent for science than me? I'm sorry to say that your words don't ring true at all. How dare you? I have evidence to prove it. How are you in a position to say anything about me? I don't know you from Adam. Fine, if you think you have evidence, go ahead, show it. What could you possibly have to disprove the idea that I was happy to leave university because I lacked talent? I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Let me just save. I have no idea what they want me to present here. I'm not gonna lie. This is when we just try different things and see if I get it right. What do I have?
Take that!
I think this piece of evidence speaks for itself, doesn't it? And just okay, yeah, okay, fine. Fine! So picky! What do you want from me? I don't understand. Why can't we make racist Edgeworth do some of the work around here, huh? Yo, Kachima!
Take that!
I forgot about the trophy. Do you remember this, Mr. Drebber? We found it at your workshop. Is that a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science? What exactly is this trophy, Council? It's the greatest honor that can be bestowed on a young scientist, my lord. There is no higher accolade. It recognizes emerging talent and promises a bright future. Good gracious! This judge does so much. The MVP, truly. Your prospects for the future were excellent, weren't they, Mr. Drebber? Because even then, you were a genius in your field. But you lost everything. You had no more future. Your talents would go to waste. All as a result of this one newspaper article. I don't know when you realized who Mr. Osmond was, but when it dawned on you that he was the same journalist who 10 years ago ruined your life, it's abundantly clear that you had no intention of forgiving the man. The truth is, finally, he's going to fold. Fine. Clearly this has run its course now. What? I admit it. All of it. What? What are you doing? It's exactly as the Japanese man said.
I was coerced into going along with this man's plot to murder the victim, on the condition that he kept my dirty secret from 10 years ago. No.
They're always so happy to confess to me. Dr. Scythe, do you realize what you're saying, woman?
It's all true. That day, when I arrived at the Crystal Tower and saw the birdcage, my heart nearly stopped beating. That memory from a decade ago that I'd done my best to bury deep inside myself. It was the professor again, staring me in the face. And then, before I had a chance to react, I noticed something else. There was a note tucked inside the model's jacket. Dr. Scythe, you will go along with my plan, from someone who knows the truth about what really happened that night 10 years ago. All the instructions were there in the note. Every detail was meticulously written out. I had no choice but to do what it said. I made the necessary alterations to the scene and fabricated the autopsy report as instructed. There was really no other choice. It had to be done to protect the judiciary. I can only apologize now.
Can I talk to Katsuma? I'm kind of sick of this mystery, and I'm still a little peeved about this.
Why on earth would you buckle now? Well, there's no point trying to hide it anymore, is there? I would have done anything to stop it coming out, even collaborate on a murder. But the great lie about that execution 10 years ago has been exposed. Whatever happens, I'm finished.
So then, Mr. Drebber, what do you say to that? Your accomplice has admitted everything.
Surely it goes without saying.
You admit your part in it too, then?
I admit nothing.
At all. What? It doesn't matter. They don't have to confess to get convicted. I think... Okay. Ace Attorney logic. I'm sorry.
Have you forgotten that the kinesis machine was ripped to shreds by an explosion? Short of me admitting to a crime, there's really no possible way for you to prove I did anything wrong.
No! Come on, Van Zeeks. Come on, Van Zeeks. Maybe the apprentice will save the day.
Whatever this man says, I admit everything. He threatened to expose my secret, so I went along with his plan. And Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes?
I hope you'll accept my apologies. What happens next is in your hands, of course.
I have heard more than enough now. I hereby present the final findings of this court. This trial is not the proper forum in which to pursue the alleged wrongdoings of Mr. Drebber. The defendant is Professor Albert Harebrain.
Very true. It had slipped my mind.
Isn't he one of your closest friends? As the court has heard, Dr. Scythe has admitted to the allegations brought by the defense, thereby absolving the defendant of any possible guilt.
You mean...
At the present time, its conclusion of this court is that the defendant is not involved in any wrongdoing. Does the prosecution have any objection?
None, my lord.
What if the assistant says something? Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I don't even know how I feel about that.
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. You've proven Professor Harebrain's innocence.
Come on. Come on. Okay, never mind. I think that'd be so funny. Without further ado then, the adjudication. Unless the prosecution or defense have any other matters to discuss. I don't know. This doesn't feel quite right. Why did Dr. Scythe suddenly admit to it like that? Is everything alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Okay, I guess I'm gonna create the issues. Like you said before, the way the trial is set to end now, the judge will certainly deliver a verdict of not guilty. But is that really what we want? Yes. What the defense should be pushing for now is... Can we... Okay, I know normally I'd be like, more testimony, but I would like to have my client declared not guilty. If the judge gives his verdict now, Professor Harebrine will be found not guilty without any doubt. Is something troubling you, perhaps? Yes, but it's probably nothing. In the antechamber during the recess earlier, they're really trying to talk me out of it. I did give Mr. Sholmes my word, though, didn't I? Oh! If you gave Mr. Sholmes your word, then it most certainly isn't nothing. And it means there's only one right answer here. They really said, screw you, player! Yes, you're right. I don't know why I was ever wavering. Because you're a lawyer, and your job is to get your client declared not guilty. The defense objects to the trial ending. I beg your pardon. We demand one final testimony. What? Yeah, no, don't ask me, man. They took the control out of my hands. What are you playing at now, my friend? Why would you want to obstruct the conclusion of the trial at this point? No defense lawyer in his right mind would do that. He's not wrong! Mr. Naruhodo, what exactly are you thinking? The truth, the whole truth, and a way to bring it all out in the open. Right! Yes, in hindsight. Hindsight what? Ah yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of the trial, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. I don't know why I can't just be a lawyer. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes knew. He must have deduced that this would happen. Yes, because we can't decide if he's a genius or an idiot. Yes, I'm here in court to advocate for my client and to secure an acquittal. Obviously. But that's not all. I believe that I have a duty to the court to pursue the whole truth of the case until the very last detail is laid bare. And that is why the defense calls for further testimony from Dr. Scythe. Testimony from me? About what? About the nature of your collaboration with Mr. Enoch Drebber. Huh. In case it's escaped your attention, I've already admitted to everything I did. The whole truth has already been revealed. So stop wasting everyone's time. Obviously there's more to it, but you know. As his lordship has made very plain, your client will get the acquittal you wanted for him. There's simply no point protracting this business further without another tedious cross-examination. Pray forgive my careless handling of that hollowed bottle. I slipped. That's what you call it? What is your objection, Lord Van Zieks? The prosecution also calls for supplementary testimony from the witness. Don't be stupid. If there is more to this case than has yet to come to light, then I will join my learned friend in pursuing the facts until the bitter end. You'll what? Lord Van Zieks. This is most irregular, to say the least. However, as the prosecution also calls for it, I will uphold the request. Dr. Scythe, you will now testify for the court, explaining the full extent of your involvement. Very well. This got very long, I apologize. I really just wanted to do a trial in one video.
It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork of the note tucked inside his jacket. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage. The body had to be arranged in a certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job. I enlisted the help of the entire forensic investigation team to dress the scene appropriately. The truth about the execution 10 years ago is a state secret at the highest level. I had to protect it.
Okay, so it's gonna be like one statement. So I was right. The stage and the machine were all specially designed for the deception.
So it seems, and all meticulously prepared. You did well to see through it.
You're a very shrewd boy. Why are you looking at me like that? So kind of you.
And what about this autopsy report then? All I did was record the location of the body as being in the crystal tower instead of under the stage. That's all. That's a terrible corruption. Only my team were aware of the deceit, and then only under my explicit instructions. Nobody else at Scotland Yard knew anything about it, I assure you.
You must be thankful for small mercies, I suppose. Well, I believe that testimony's clarified everything. There's no particular need for cross-examination. No, I disagree. I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Just look at that expression on Dr. Seitz's face. It's the defense's right to cross-examine any witness following testimony.
What is it about you Japanese that makes you all so doggedly persistent?
Very well, if you so desire. Yes, my lord. They're actually letting me do a full one, too. I thought they'd do the thing where I can only, like, say one thing. Alright, let's just press this first one. From what you described before, it sounds like the note was anonymous. Did you have any idea who was behind it?
There are very few people in the know about what really happened 10 years ago to start with. But anyway, I'd never heard of this engineer, so no, I had no idea.
Yet despite not knowing who was behind the plan, you went along with it?
I had no choice. Protecting the professor's secret was my only concern.
But the horse has bolted now, and the stable door will never shut again. Scotland Yard's reputation will be immeasurably damaged as a result of all this.
Yes, thank you, Lord Van Zieks. I'm well aware of that.
So, as I understand it, you found in the birdcage was a waxwork model. Where then was the victim's body?
Hold it!
When you say arranged, I presume you mean with this?
Yes, the instructions in the engineer's note said something along the lines of fabricate some evidence to make it clear that Harebrained alone could have killed Osmond.
So, you mean that was your doing?
I fetched Harebrained's ridiculous screwdriver from the stage and took it with me alone to the abyss under the stage where the birdcage had fallen.
Alone, Doctor?
I didn't feel it would be appropriate to involve anybody else in that particular part of the deception. There was a void under the stage where I found this birdcage lying in dirt. I approached it, leaned down, and slowly opened it up. Then I took the screwdriver in both hands and plunged it into the man's chest.
Did she actually kill him? Did the fall not kill him? And then you noted that in your fake autopsy report as a fictitious cause of death.
Exactly.
So, the actual cause of death was
the trauma resulting from the 30-foot drop.
I don't think it was. What is it, Miss Susato?
Something about Dr. Seitz's last statement. It's playing on my mind, that's all.
Yeah. Dr. Seitz.
There's really no need to shout. I can hear you perfectly well. The defense calls for you to add what you just said to your formal testimony. Oh? Which part? What do I want to... is... let's do the cause of death first. Actually, let's do what she did to the victim. How you stabbed Mr. Osmond in the chest, that part. Fine, that's what you want. There's really no need to point. The prosecution concurs. Very well. You will supplement your testimony now, witness. If you wish, my lord. Okay, let me save here. I feel like I might have evidence. Because how would you... Let me figure this out. How did you even get in there?
Objection!
Oh, I didn't mean to press... okay, I did not mean to press present. I meant to press examine. My bad, my bad, my bad. Well, we know it's not whatever that was. I did not mean to press object there. Hold on. Ay. So picky. Okay, here we go. Try this again. We eat some more popcorn. This is a great show. Okay. 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 Hold on. Can we have it? Let's have him do the other one.
Hold it!
So it was you who stabbed Mr. Osmond with this? Yes. Far easier than dissection, I assure you. No precision required. What a welcome change. The victim died instantly from a snapped neck. All I did was carry out instructions I've been given. As unflinching as ever, no doubt. I imagine you didn't bat an eyelid when you drove the weapon into his body. There was no need to bat my eyelids. And what else did you do with the fact? What else did you do to twist the facts? Remind the court, don't you? If you wish. Okay, wait, I gotta go back.
Hold it!
Okay, let me just skip ahead a little bit. I would like to add the other part instead. I don't think I have anything for that. I thought I did, but I don't. Okay. Have her change it. Okay. Here we go. Okay. The actual cause of death was the neck trauma Osmond suffered from the 30-foot fall. Okay. I'm going to save that here. Let's see if I can find any evidence. Because I think the thing we're getting at is that she actually killed him. Don't know why. Mind you. Okay. Let's look at the...
Objection!
No? Okay. Not that. There's something... Yeah, well, there is something on. I'm not wrong. I just don't know what we're getting at here. What evidence do I have that it wasn't from the fall? Something about how it fell, maybe? He didn't fall head first, though, right? Okay.
Objection!
No? Shoot, what is that? I don't know what I'm supposed to do, guys. Maybe I'll press the statement first. I'm stress eating. This is difficult. Okay.
Hold it!
You're quite sure of that? It was a result of a broken neck. Yes, as a professional, that was more than apparent. You never know just by looking at the photograph, would you? No, that's very true. Obviously not. Which is precisely why coroners are needed to determine the actual facts. Yes, assuming they can be trusted. There's no point calling her assessment into question without evidence. Let's get back to the testimony. Very well. Okay, so there's probably evidence in there somewhere. Okay. Neck trauma. Oh, they had the opposite.
Objection!
Wait! You put... Ugh! You guys are so difficult! You wrote that... I'm so upset. They wrote that the cause of death was the other thing. I'm annoyed. What evidence do I have?
Objection!
I'm just trying different things at this point. I genuinely have no idea. Shut up. Okay. Okay, guys. There's something major, and it's hiding from me, and it's very rude. I've been at this for a long time, guys, and I want to figure this out on my own, but I don't know what they want from me. I'm gonna look at all my evidence very carefully. You know, there's a whole thing about the autopsy report, but apparently that's not good enough. Okay. Okay, I don't... Maybe it's the picture? Okay, so that one didn't work. What about the picture? Oh, the hot air balloon, maybe? Where'd the picture go? Where's the picture, bro? Okay, is this the picture? Yeah, okay. Because he is shown to be facing upright.
Objection!
No? Okay. Guys. Okay. Actually takes less time to reset. "30-foot fall.
Objection!
Okay, guys, I'm gonna keep presenting evidence until I figure it out, and then I will press play once I get it correct. Okay, well, it took forever, but I figured it out. I didn't figure it out, I looked it up. I was pressing so many things, and I'm like, I don't know what they want from me. So, but we did find it, so I went back so you can hear the satisfactory, objection!
Objection!
Objection, hearsay. I've got a nasty feeling that this inconsistency points to an extremely uncomfortable truth. Well, that she's the one who killed him. I know that. What on earth is the matter, Counsel? Have you lost your tongue? I apologize, my lord. Dr. Scythe, in that last statement of yours, there's just one point. That seems to defy explanation. Out with it, my learned friend. There's an obvious inconsistency between your description and this photograph. I mean, I thought about that, but I also didn't present it, so. Which shows the victim in the birdcage following the events that led to his death. The court has already examined this photograph in depth. There's nothing new we can learn from it. Yes, but we have already considered it. But we now know the facts to be different. What do you mean?
I believe we should let the defense explain.
I don't know where. Where? Okay, hold on, let me save. I got, so like, I'll try a few different things. First off, let's just point at the glass.
Take that!
Okay, nope. I can't with this game anymore. I don't know where it's going. I just want to talk to my best friend, okay? I'm so upset that they're doing the amnesia plot. And it makes me upset. Here?
Take that!
Look closely at the blood stain on the victim's chest. Oh! Yeah, I'm too stupid to figure that out. I'm sorry. Too blonde for this. Okay. It clearly extends in the downward directions towards the man's feet. And was a significant counsel. If the victim was stabbed moments before the kinesis machine was set in motion, that's entirely expected. Ah, of course. No, that's not what happened. Exactly, my lord. Dr. Scythe made it clear in her testimony just now that the point at which she stole Professor Harebrain's screwdriver and stabbed the victim was after he fell. Was after the grand deception was set in motion, when the birdcage had fallen below the stage out of sight. From the shape of it, it's clear the birdcage would have fallen on its side after a 30-foot drop. And if the victim had really been stabbed whilst inside the birdcage in that position, the blood from the wound would have spread out equally in all directions. For it to have performed the longitude appearance we see in this picture is inconceivable. Yeah, I honestly did not see that at all. Ah. You know, I figured out that Katsuma was alive. Can we talk about that? Given that the victim's blood seeped vertically downwards from the wound, it must be the case that when you stabbed Mr. Osmond, he was standing up. In short, Dr. Scythe, your latest testimony was a total fabrication. Woohoo! Da 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 da. I knew it. I was right. Well, you're smarter than me, Ryonotsuki, because now I've identified that contradiction. There's only one way to explain the facts. We've all been under great misapprehension here. Sure. What? What do you mean, what? What sort of misapprehension? Dr. Scythe. You claim you were coerced into helping Mr. Drebber as a result of the note he left in the waxwork. You claim that you made changes to the scene of the crime to implicate the defendant. And you claim that you authored a fake autopsy report to cover your tracks. But one of those claims is an out-and-out lie. Because the question of what the bloodstain really tells us has only one possible answer. If that is the case, what is it, man?
Counsel, you clearly struck up a revelation. Now tell the court what it is. Which part of this story is shown to be a lie?
The coercion, 100%. Dr. Scythe, clearly you weren't really coerced by the letter at all. What? If you were, where is the note? It's nowhere to be seen. That's as it may be. So why don't you present it to the court if the assertion vexes you? Obviously, I've already disposed of it. I'm not vexed in the slightest.
Counsel, need I remind you that it was you yourself who established the coercion.
Ah! I was wrong? Feeling vexed, my friend. Very.
There's no question there was built on a lie. Oh, the stabbing. I'm stupid. Unless, like, I don't know. The answer is very simple if you consider the sequence of events. I didn't even read the other options, I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, no, she's the mastermind. She is the mastermind, the master of her fate. Okay. If when the victim was stabbed, the blood from the wound seeped downwards, as it did, we can be sure the victim must have been either sitting or standing upright at the time. But as you rightly pointed out, the birdcage would have fallen to its side when it fell beneath the stage. Yes, it would, which tells us that the victim must have been in that position of his own accord.
Objection!
That's impossible. The man was dead, remember? No, that is the misapprehension. I figured it out the first time. When the birdcage fell from the stage into the void below, he must have hit the ground with considerable force. But Mr. Osmond didn't die in the fall. He probably lost consciousness for a while. When he came round, he got to his feet to climb out of the cage. Just as Dr. Scythe appeared. Whew! Heavy implications, Ryunosuke. This is why we just take the not guilty verdict. If the victim was in fact alive at that point in time, it changes everything. Mr. Odo Yasmin's killer wasn't the defendant, Professor Albert Harebrain. Nor was it the mastermind behind the stage trickery, Mr. Enoch Drebber. He did a full turn that time. It was you, Dr. Courtney Scythe. That's unfortunate. Or, can this possibly be true? Have you been taking me for a fool? It was you, was it? You killed him? You hoped that by admitting to being an accomplice in Mr. Drebber's scheme, the trial would end. Before you were accused of a far worse crime. Cold-blooded murder. Oh, do shut up. You're so desperate now, you're making all this up. As if I would do something like that.
Objection!
I assure you, the defense is not desperate, Doctor. Mr. Naruhodo has established the facts using evidence and logic alone. Ha! Logic. Don't make me laugh. Sadly, your logic has a gaping hole in it. What? What do you mean? I'd have thought it was obvious. A motive, boy. You're lacking a motive. What possible reason would I have to kill Mr. Osmond? Osmond was involved in any number of criminal activities, from coercion to theft to murder. But there was no known connection to Dr. Scythe here. I'd rather relieved to say it does seem to be somewhat far-fetched. True, there's no obvious motive. There's still something in the back of my mind. I feel sure I've seen something somewhere that hints at why Coroner might have done this. I think I've just been playing too long in a row. That's why I need to separate things. Yes, I might have tampered with the crime scene and concocted a fake report. But murdering someone for no reason is a very different story. No, when you questioned what possible reason you could have for wanting to kill Mr. Osmond, something did come to mind. What? What was it, Counsel? Enlighten the court at once. Yes, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? Something that seemed strange, but we had no reason to suspect at the time. There's a particular object that explains why Dr. Scythe would want to kill Mr. Osmond. The mask? Do you think? The scalpels? Oh, there was a lot of scalpels. I don't know what that was about. I'm just gonna save, because I'm not 100% sure, I'm not gonna lie. But the scalpels are the only things that are like, we were like, whoa, that's a lot of scalpels. Why are there so many scalpels?
We'll try the scalpels. It's a scalpel. Or rather, scalpels.
Did you say scalpels?
Ah. It would appear the word has struck a nerve.
You, come on, out with it.
It was yesterday when we visited your laboratory. Look at this big, thick book here. Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of forensic Yep, okay, yep. So if y'all missed this, she has a lot of scalpels for, like, no apparent reason. I forgot about that. You gotta, like, remember every single detail or you're gonna get hosed in the final reveal scenes. Hence why I couldn't figure anything out this time.
500 scalpels a month.
At first, I wondered what on earth you could be using that many scalpels for. But actually, I realize now it's not the scalpels themselves that are significant. It's the money for them, disappearing every month from the department's accounts. Osmond's criminal organization relied heavily on extortion for its funding, tracing the money from the forensic investigation team's account to find where it was going would be extremely straightforward. 10 years ago, when Mr. Osmond was still a journalist and wrote this article about Mr. Drebber, he may well have stumbled upon information as he was researching this story. Information related to the Dr. Sai's darkest secret that he had used to wreck money for her from her for the next decade.
Her darkest secret? You mean?
I don't know what happened on the night of that execution 10 years ago, but clearly the opportunity to rid yourself of that menace was too tempting to pass up. So in the end, you weren't coerced at all, were you? You did it entirely of your own free will. I said... Okay. Whatever. You stabbed Mr. Osmond in the heart with all your might. To silence the blackmailer who knew your dark secret forever.
You'll never understand. None of you. What we've had to keep covered up all these long years. I'm just doing the heavy breathing.
Give me this backstory! Confess! Confess! Please. As very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb, the truth of this case can never be properly established unless you speak out. And if you decide not to, it's very possible that Courtney Scythe will escape punishment for her crimes. Please, sir, own up to what you've done, and tell the court the truth about what happened. 10 years ago, you told the truth, and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness and your consternation now. However, this is surely the chance you've been waiting for to sever the hold that fate's had over you in all these years. Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. I mean, really. It's the addle-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know. They don't recognize the fact that they don't have any talent. They can't even get that right. And so they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities. They go on and on about their wonderful hypotheses, their stupid eyes shining like little child. I didn't read that right. They make me sick. I can't abide their foolishness.
Careful, Mr. Drebber.
I was particularly pleased with the kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? So you admit it? You admit that it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim. Yes, I admit it. I did it all in the name of revenge. Revenge for the future that Mr. Osmond's article had deprived you of 10 years earlier. But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Osmond, did it? Which is where that very particular waxwork comes in. Yes, I see. The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago. Is your account of those events was all true, if they was all true? Then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge what had happened. Even if it meant discrediting a bright young man and crushing any future career he might have had. So your plan required that you abduct that particular waxwork model in order to exact your revenge on Scotland Yard as well. Or on Dr. Scythe, to be precise. It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Osmond turned up at my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer. And he happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye. About the coroner who had handled that bogus autopsy being appointed head of a new forensics team. When I learned that news, my cognitive processes started to devise the plan. What a horrid tale. He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own vials against him for revenge. And have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time. I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation I'd had to suffer. That was a weird case. Your actions against those who'd ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly, no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you? Did I? Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypotheses. But you had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded a failure and a fraud. Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man. Start crying. I don't care what Professor Harebrain thinks. I don't know where I'm going with this. That was really long. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Lord Van Zeeks, what of Dr. Scythe? An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted, and she's been remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial in the coming days, along with Mr. Drebber. A most regrettable situation indeed. She's made great contributions to her profession over the years. It really is a hard truth to swallow. However, that is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Harebrain. Oh, yes? It seems there was a great deal more to your experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sordid details have been brought to light. This has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you're absolved of all guilt. This whole experience has taught me a very great but painful lesson. This dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy. I've been selfish and self-centered and above all, a fool. Professor? Yeah. I spent my life thinking of nothing but my research. Misguidedly believing that I could do whatever I set my mind to, despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it is, in the process I've caused others pain and misery. Others who were far, far greater people than I. No, Professor, that's not true. What? Don't tar yourself with the same brush as Drebber. What happened was his doing and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You're not to blame in any way. Lord Van Zeeks. And the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. The man has no idea.
to believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dreams. That's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices. Oh! Thank you, Brooke. Can we declare this man not guilty? Thank you. Yes, my lord. It is this court's expectation you find the defendant not guilty of the charge for which he stands accused. I presume there are no objections? None from me, my lord. Certainly not. Blah 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 blah. Very well. In that case, I hereby pronounce the defendant not guilty. Yay! That was so long. Oh my. Oh my, the algorithm's not gonna like this one. Be like, why is it 3.5 hours? Why is it almost 4 hours? Court adjourned. We're getting into Stardew Valley territory, man. It's over. That was some trial. No kidding. Professor, what a splendid outcome, isn't it? Oh, it is. Congratulations, Professor Herbert. Mr. Naruhodo, Miss Usato, I am truly beside myself with gratitude. How could I ever thank you enough? I'm just glad it's been cleared up. That you realize you were just caught up in a bad situation. Right now, you know, if I had that research grant money, I'd give you a whole lot to you, every penny. Well, that's very kind, but I'm just a student, so. We don't need any financial reward. Your acquittal is more than enough. Oh dear, what can I do? How about this as a memento? The paper about my hypothesis is inside. Well, just a memento then. Thank you. I've been wondering, Professor, what are you going to do now? Oh my, yes, what am I going to do? My hypothesis and my great machine lie in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the great exhibition whilst I'm here too, and see if new inspiration hits me. Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea. I can't allow that. Lord Van Zieks, what are you doing here? I finally got it right. Brock! I'm sorry you had to go through that, Albert. Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You were like a great demon behind your bench there, snarling down on your prey. You're one of the few friends I have. Sorry, one of the true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle the prosecution. Or the defense. Did he just say that about me? Sorry? Or the defense? Did I just hear that right? I always knew you had my best interests at heart. Don't worry. How about you show me around while I'm here in town? It's been a long time since we left university. We have lots to catch up on. Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, you must head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you. What? From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets. But no! Hold on a minute, Bark! What about the great exhibition? This is my chance of it. No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea. Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Burke. Lord Van Zieks? What's all this about? A necessary precaution. Yes, I think I understand. You do? Well, Harris told me some days ago that when you meet Lord Van Zieks at his office some days ago, or met, he asked how Mr. Natsume was doing. Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time and thinking it was nice of him to ask. The point is, Mr. Natsume is still alive and well, even though it's been more than 6 months now since he stood trial with the Reaper as the prosecutor. Oh, you mean...
The Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas? Those in the Reaper's sights meet their ends days or sometimes months after their acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now. But, of course, we know that both Mr. Natsume and Gina were completely innocent. True. And perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions. The truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend. Back! That's so sweet. Like the mustached Japanese, this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once. Right. Does your friend's shaved package get any say in it? Goodness. Was this your intention all along then, Lord Van Zinks? In court, where people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless, and yet, sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all. It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being. Ah, yes. All right. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you so much for everything! Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you. Best wishes, Miss Professor Harebrain. Well, once the dust is settled, you must come visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now. Hello. Now, my friend. Oh, yes? I thought you'd gone too. We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time? You want to talk with me? I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes. Oh, we're doing another courtroom? Heart to heart? Well, that was strange. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as you walked away this time. Please, I want to see now. Don't make me wait till the next one. The Enigma, Beric Van Zinks. What does he want from me, I wonder? The answer waits in the courtroom. Here goes. Please, 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 don't make me wait. Don't make me wait. Don't make me wait. We're doing this right now. Like, we've been at this too long. I need to know. Yes! Okay. I was scared. Why are they standing across from... Oh, are we gonna... So, are you satisfied? You saved a guileless scientist from a great injustice. Yes, I think so. I'm relieved, at least. That the man's innocence could be proven. Anyway, I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity towards you comes from. Ah, we're gonna learn the backstory! I feel like this isn't how normally they would... This isn't normally how information like this would be shared. Let me tell you why I am a racist. Here we go. Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagined you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here. But now I think differently. You clearly know our ways, so I would guess that some specific incident led to your thorough dislike of my entire race. Will you tell me what happened, please? The professor. I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest. He took your brother's life. Clint. My brother was Clint Van Zinks. I love how his apprentice is just standing there like this. Nothing. Okay, yes, he has amnesia. He didn't lose all his brain cells. He's still a functioning human being. Anyway, sorry, back to serious mode. 16 years ago, when I was still just in my teens. He was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be. He was involved in the establishment of the justice systems in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations then too, to share knowledge and ideas. As part of one of those programs, 3 judicial assistants came to Britain from your homeland, the Empire of Japan. Oh! If it was 16 years ago then, one of them could have been my father. Of course. I remember Dr. Mikitoba well. I had no idea. I was a minor at the time, training at the prosecutor's office. One day, Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Japanese. Again, I know it's not being used derogatory, we're just not going to read it, just in case. So you've actually met my father? He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept to their work and exacting in their standards. It was my first encounter with the Japanese spirit, and it made a very great impression upon me. But 6 years later, that's when it happened. The investigation was going nowhere. There were no suspects even, just an ever-growing list of victims. And in the end, my brother became one of them. The last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved. I'm so sorry, Lord Renziques, truly. Clint was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway, so he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me, personally, though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one had been able to catch the man sooner ceased to be such a mystery. He'd been hiding in plain sight all the time. In plain sight? Are you aware of political events 10 years ago? It was a period of extremely sensitive diplomacy between the British and Japanese empires. Not unlike now. A new treaty was being forged, I think. Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation was being concluded. The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussions. Which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted as a closed trial. If the British public had known the identity of the killer, not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our 2 nations could have very well have ended up at war. It was the 3rd Japanese student that visited, I'm betting? What? A war between Britain and Japan? But that would mean... Oh my! You mean to say the professor was...
When the trial reached its conclusion earlier, I thought to myself, yes, it's time.
Oh, I gotta keep clicking.
Time for you to come face to face with this hideous monster. I borrowed the key for the mask from the proprietress of the Waxwork Museum. So see for yourselves now. Confirm it with your own eyes. The truth that's been hidden this past decade.
That's the professor?
Yes, that's him.
One Japanese man was not good, and you just turned against the entire race. Well, I know a British prosecutor who's not so great, but I'm not turning against all the British. Love
Until
him.
now, the thought never even crossed my mind.
Really?
That the mass murderer, whose crimes shook Britain as never before, was Japanese.
Wait a minute. That face. I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
What's going on? Well, his amnesia's over.
Father.
What?
What? Father? Kazuma! My best friend, Kazuma Asobi. After a whole year, finally his memories returned. As he stood there before me. Ryunosuke.
Ryunosuke? I'm seriously been. Wow. I didn't say that. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna keep butchering because I'm gonna forget.
Hello again.
What the heck?
My friend.
Kazuma-sama!
Judicial Assistant Mikotoba.
It's been a very long road. Thank you. Thank you for guiding my friend here when I could not.
It was an honor.
You got some explaining to do, pal.
I knew you wouldn't die that easily.
I didn't. I didn't know that.
I owe you thanks, too. For taking good care of that in my absence.
Oh, the God. Yo!
Karuma. Great
Karuma.
blade of the Asobi clan.
We just got
Passed
caught.
down through the generations. When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. He couldn't be parted from it.
What the heck? Okay.
But then, when the incident happened, it was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the sword. And I've kept it with me ever since, along with my memories of the friendship we shared. With this by my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow.
Where's Barrack? Oh my gosh.
I've made it. At last.
What?
Father.
Wait what?
Are you saying... Surely not. You mean... You knew all this time? I'm looking at it. But... I still can't believe it. This mass murderer is Kazuma's father.
What is going on?
Kazuma-sama.
Ryunosuke,
What?
we We have much to talk about.
No kidding!
But now is not the time.
What do you mean now's not the time? It's the perfect time!
I'll be seeing you.
Don't! Are you leaving? You are going to sit down. We are sitting down right now. And we are dishing out the top trauma and all the tea right now. Don't you put that mask back on. Where are you going? What in the world?
That's all Kazuma said.
Huh?
Before he turned and left us there, in the courtroom.
What do you mean he left you in the courtroom? Where's Van Zeeks? What do you mean? Why did he want to... Gosh, okay. So he's the living after image of the man who took my brother's life. I get What? What? Yes, Katsuma Asagi, my best friend. 3 months ago, when Lord Strongheart introduced us, I had an inkling there was something there, some connection. But why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Katsuma Lord Van Zeek's apprentice, and when he was suffering amnesia too? The man was apprehended, even executed. But his legacy just won't die. That's the sad truth. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I thank you for meeting with me as I asked. Is that all? You want to tear up my heart anymore? Huh? 10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. We were there to meet my father from the train, for me. It was the first time I'd ever seen him. Poor Susuro-san, all that... I don't care about you right now! Where'd my best friend just go? She's never really talked about this with me either. It took time to adjust to having father around, but just when I was starting to... Okay, I love you, but can we talk about what just happened? He called me into his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his had passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind his son, a boy 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, so he was studying to become a defense lawyer. I wanted to help, so I studied to become a qualified judicial assistant. As I'm sure you've worked out, that young man's name was Katsuma Asagi. But, so you see, that's how he and I met. What the heck?
For a brief moment, my great friend had returned.
Yeah!
Only to disappear again all too soon.
Yeah! Why?
But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred. Something that had been dormant for a long time.
What?
As if great wheels had been set in motion. I could almost hear them creaking into life.
What are you talking about?
In some ways, it was the end of a chapter. But in many, it was the start of a new one.